Two all-star first basemen lead their teams into the second half as Ryan Howard and the Phillies invade St. Louis to take on the Cardinals and Albert Pujols next on Monday Night Baseball. No one has hit more home runs than Ryan Howard since he burst onto the scene in 2005. The third-place Phillies will need his power more than ever if they are to make a third straight trip to the Fall Classic. Albert Pujols is on a short list of MVP candidates in the National League after another outstanding first half. The Cardinals star has already won the award 3 times. It might take a 4th to lead St. Louis back to the postseason. 2 elite sluggers take their cuts next. Welcome to steamy St. Louis and Monday Night Baseball presented by Vonage. And tonight, 2 division favorites open a 4-game series. The Cardinals and the Phillies, led by 2 of the premier sluggers of their time, Albert Pujols and Ryan Howard. There isn't a ballpark in the major leagues that can hold either one of them. Now, coming into this series, Albert's Cardinals are playing better baseball. St. Louis has won 5 in a row to grab a half-game lead on Cincinnati in the NL Central. The Phillies have, for the moment, dipped into 3rd place in the East. They need Chase Utley back and Ryan Howard to stay hot. Welcome to Busch Stadium, everybody. Great to have you along. I'm Dave O'Brien alongside former big leaguers Chris Singleton and Nomar Garciaparra. We're not going to be talking a lot of pitching on this show. That's pretty evident. It's going to be all about hitting. And, Chris, that's a good thing because Ryan Howard's raking. He's homered 6 times in his last 9 games.
Ryan Howard is the premier power hitter in the major leagues. Over the last 5 seasons, leads the majors with 219 home runs and RBIs with 645. Now, coming into this season, one thing that Howard knew, I can hit for power, but I got to hit for average. How close can I get to 300? Well, he's real close right now, 298. 21 home runs and 73 RBIs. Here's a guy that's on fire in the midst of a lineup that's struggling, and he's back in his hometown, St. Louis, where he rakes 381, 7 home runs over 17 games here at Busch Stadium.
Loves the ballpark, obviously doesn't mind the heat at all. So our apologies, Nomar. You get stuck talking about Albert Pujols. Hasn't done a whole lot, only 3 National League MVPs.
Yeah, he has 3 National League MVPs, and the way he's going right now, he may see 4 of them. And what is there to say about Albert Pujols? He's set a standard for himself above the rest of the league. People might be looking at his numbers and they're thinking about a 307 average right now with 21 home runs and 64 RBIs. Are those numbers down? They're down for Albert Pujols. They are not down. They are still in the top of the league. We're still going to be talking about him at the end of this year as being an MVP candidate and possibly a Triple Crown threat when it's all said and done. He's still going to be, he's turning himself around. He's feeling good. He's feeling healthy. Watch out for him in the second half.
Yeah, what else is new with all of those numbers? And both of these guys are right in their major league prime. Albert Pujols is 30. Ryan Howard is 30. They both have many great years ahead of them. We get a chance to watch 2 of the most feared sluggers of their time tonight on Monday Night Baseball.
ESPN Monday Night Baseball is presented by Vonage. Sounds good. And in part by One-A-Day Men's Pro Edge, the multivitamin with more of what matters. And Toyota.
Hi there, I'm Jay Harris in our Monday Night Baseball studios here in Bristol. We're going to keep you updated throughout the game on everything happening around the major leagues tonight. But first, leading off tonight, here we go. Ubaldo Jimenez of Colorado going for his major league leading 16th win of the season tonight. The Rockies play the Marlins in Miami. That should be a good one. Also leading off, Adam Dunn returning to Cincinnati tonight as a member of the Nationals. He's the all-time home run leader at Great American Ballpark with 125. Just a bit of what we are following all night. And now back to the game now. It should be a good one. Let's head out to Dave O'Brien.
Jay, thank you very much. There was a late afternoon shower, and it was a doozy here in St. Louis, but look at what it has given way to. Sunshine and blue skies. Still very hot here in St. Louis, Missouri. It is July, but a beautiful night for baseball and for Charlie Manuel and his ball club, the Philadelphia Phillies. They're trying to get going. Remember, though, they have always been a strong second-half team. They've won 60% of their games after the break during Manuel's managerial run that began in 2005. Let's give you a look at his starting lineup tonight against St. Louis. Jimmy Rollins back in there and healthy at shortstop. Only hitting .233, Nomar, and he's only played in about a third of the games because of that calf injury.
Yeah, but when you look at how he affects this team, they really needed him to get on. I mean, they are 10-2 when he scores a run this season, and in his career, their winning percentage is .688 when he scores a run. So he really needs to set the tone for this lineup.
Chase Utley is mentioned out with a thumb injury. More on that later. He has been working out at the ballpark today. They'll be facing the 27-year-old right-hander Blake Hawksworth. 3-5, a .473 ERA. And Chris, he's the former Cardinals minor league pitcher of the year, former relief pitcher as well.
Yeah, we've known him mostly for working out of the bullpen, but he's racking up some starts here with the Cardinals. His last start, not too bad, gave up a couple of runs in the first inning. Problems with his control. He was up in the zone with that two-seam fastball, which he likes a lot, 91 to 94. A good changeup and a curveball. Look for him to continue a pretty good pace over his last 4 starts, 2-2 with a 3.38 ERA.
Well, let's see how they back him up defensively, and this has been a bit of an issue for the Cardinals. The outfield is Craig and Rasmus and Jay, and up the middle it's Ryan and Schumacher to turn the double play. On the corners, Lopez and Pujols, who has won a Gold Glove, and Yadier Molina, as good as it gets, with 2 Gold Gloves behind home plate. But they are a middle-of-the-pack defensive team, and that typically is not good enough for a Tony La Russa team.
No, he doesn't like that. He wants to play defense behind his pitchers, especially when he likes his pitchers to throw a lot of ground balls.
Well, Jimmy Rollins takes the first one in there for a strike, says Mike Winters, and we are underway. Rollins, of course, with 2 stints on the DL this season because of his right calf injury. He played in just 7 games in April, to 7 for the whole month. Re-injured it, went back on the DL, lifts one here to Rasmus for an easy out. 1 man gone. We'll see how the sun plays havoc, if it does, because this game is starting just after 6 o'clock in St. Louis.
And a tough little turnaround for the Phillies. Late game last night in Chicago. They come in here today and playing a little bit earlier than normal, so I think it'll take them a little while just to get going. Nomar, you get in that late flight, not too much sleep, right into a hot ballpark.
Here's Polanco, and he's just recently off the DL, taking outside ball 1.
And not only that, you do have the shadows to deal with. You're going, okay, I'm a little bit tired, and now we have to deal with the shadows at the beginning of the game.
83 degrees, very humid here. Roped off the glove of Pujols. Schumacher in the outfield, throwing to first base, close and not in time. Pitcher getting there, but not in time, and Polanco is safe at first.
Well, Nomar couldn't get out of his mouth quick enough. The shadows and the sun. It looked like Pujols struggled a little bit as you see a layer across the infield of sunlight right there at the top right of the screen. Tries to backhand that ball, can't come up with it, and his reaction afterwards was like, whoa, I almost got my lips taken off. A nice job of backing up. They almost made something out of nothing right there.
Ooh, awfully close. Polanco played umpire. I think he got the call right. It is a base hit, but a bang play. And that'll send up Raul Ibanez, so man on against Hawksworth, who is from North Vancouver, British Columbia, and delivers low for ball 1. Ibanez at .249, 7 home runs. Now he has 3 career at-bats against this right-hander, and he's hit 2 home runs off of Hawksworth. He really seems to like hitting in that 3 spot right in front of Ryan Howard as he knocks that one foul. We go back to earlier this season. Hawksworth at that time was working out of the bullpen. This was May 6th. A ball up at 91, and he sent it out in the 5th inning. The Phillies would go on to win 7-2. Ibanez with a round tripper. His numbers are down, of course, this season from what they were last year when he got off to that tremendous start in his first year over from Seattle. Weaves right through that pitch.
I know Charlie Manuel has been fiddling around with that 3rd hole. You know, who do I feel comfortable in there? And I'm sure looking at Raul Ibanez and what he's done against Hawksworth and only 3 at-bats with 2 home runs, he's like, you know what, Raul, you're getting the call today.
Well, in this spot in the starting lineup in the batting order, he's a .355 hitter. There's a base hit. Polanco rounds, but he'll head on back as the throw comes to the bag. Back-to-back singles. Ibanez, .355, 4 homers when batting out of the 3-hole.
Right here, he doesn't try to do too much with that pitch. It goes on the outer half of the plate. He reaches out and he just throws ahead and pulls it into that hole. That's what's good for a left-handed hitter, especially when you have a guy on first base. That hole's a little bit open for you to find it and get a base hit.
So 2 on for Ryan Howard, who leads the National League in RBIs with 73. Hitting .298, 21 home runs for the big first baseman. And a St. Louis native. And as Chris mentioned in the open, this just might be his favorite ballpark. 381 at Busch Stadium lifetime with 7 homers and 29 RBIs, and that's in just 17 games.
Well, there's nothing like home cooking.
A check swing that'll miss.
Talked to Ryan during batting practice. Hit his favorite restaurant for lunch today, and this is a guy, guys, that's already been on a tear. National League Player of the Week last week. Now he comes home, Nomar. He gets some of that home cooking that he grew up on. What's going to happen this series here at Busch Stadium?
The 2-0 right through it. 2 balls and a strike.
Well, they always say in the box you want to feel comfortable. Well, when you're home, you're comfortable. And even though he hasn't played here a whole heck of a lot, this isn't his home field. Gosh, you might say he might have the home field advantage today.
You can only feast off of so many cheesesteaks before you got to come home and get some home cooking.
The 2-1 cracked, and that one fair. Pujols is going to argue immediately with Brian Runge, but here comes the run. Polanco is in. It'll be a double for Howard, and it's 1-0 Philadelphia. That ball was still rolling down the chalk line into right field, and Pujols immediately was arguing. Tony La Russa out there as well. We've got to take a look at this one.
Well, we always talk about the players and the pitchers and hitters dealing with the shadows, but the umpires have to deal with them as well. And this is just a great piece. They tried to go inside on Ryan Howard. No coming around that baseball. He gets to it, keeps it fair just to bounce over the bag. And you look at the umpire right there. He's got the sunglasses on. He's got to make a quick decision. And it looked to the naked eye that it bounced over the bag. It didn't land in fair territory once it crossed, but it did cross over the base.
And of course that would make it a fair ball if it goes over the bag there, and that's maybe not what Albert saw. He saw the tail end of it into foul territory. Well, here's Jason Worth, 276, 13 homers, runners at second and third. This is the spot that Worth has really scuffled in with men in scoring position. He probably ought to have a lot more than 50 RBIs, Nomar, because he's only hitting 165 with men in scoring position.
Yeah, and it's amazing that he has this many RBIs at the present time. And this is something that Philly really needs right now when they talk about their struggling offense.
Hawksworth has allowed 3 consecutive hits, although one was a ricochet and a Howard double was right over the bag.
Well, a lot of times in situations like this with a runner on third, less than 2 outs, the pitcher will try to tie you up inside, throw something a little bit up and in so you can't extend your arms and get that nice sac fly. Hawksworth has the 2-seamer to do it. Let's see if he can get it in there on Worth.
He takes a strike. Shane Victorino on deck. Victorino having a big home run year. For a guy who is not noted as a home run hitter, he's hit 15, and that's a career high. Phillies hit a lot of home runs. They don't necessarily have many men on when they hit them in 2010. That's been an issue. Flicked foul out of play.
And right here, if you're Jason Worth, and you talk about it, he's had some struggles this year with runners in scoring position. You talked about his average. You try not, and you're in this position. Here's a time where you try not to do too much. Now that you have 2 strikes on yourself, the defense is playing back. The middle of the infield is playing back. They're giving you an RBI. You'll take the out. Let's get that runner in, maybe at second base, and move the runner over to third base as well.
1-2 pitch up and in. So in your mind, you don't have to kill it. And we saw guys like Joe Carter, who was a great RBI man for a lot of years, simply lay the bat on the ball, hit a little chopper to short, get that run in.
Well, the big thing, when you haven't been producing the way that you're used to, you try to get everything back in one swing. And Worth hasn't hit a home run in 21 games. In the back of his mind, he's thinking big.
Foul ball, 2-2.
And when you think big, Nomar, your swing gets long and it gets big, and you don't capitalize. You got to add on little by little. And here's an opportunity, like you said, so many different ways to get 1 run in. And if you do it, think small, a lot of times more comes to it. You get an extra base hit, or you drive in both.
Popped him up. Pujols underneath, looking up into the sun, and there to make the catch. And that is out number 2. Runners have to hold, and it'll bring up Victorino. So Worth continues to scuffle, hitting just .236 in his last 57 games. You may recall he got off to a torrid start He was hitting around 350 until the second week of May, but he has been skidding since then. A lot of talk about his contract situation. He'll be a free agent when the regular season is over, and if that's affecting him. Well, here's Victorino. Base hit could still mean 2 more here. 1-0 Philadelphia, and the breaking ball in for a strike. Victorino at 253, 15 home runs, so that number is up. He hit 13 all of last year. 5'9" switch hitter from Hawaii on the left side against Hawksworth, who is on the verge of getting out of this with only 1 run. He wouldn't chase there, and the count moves to 1-1.
Well, this is a big pickup right now. Shane Victorino can pick up Jason Worth as well as his ball club. You can score 3 runs in this first inning for a team that's struggled, a team that's used to just lighten up the scoreboard with home runs and extra base hits. You can let some of that pressure out, the air out of the balloon, if you can get something right here.
Team that got lit up, as you said, last night. Knocked foul. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Victorino.
Nothing like jumping out to an early lead. We always say, Omar, early and often, right?
Early, yeah, you're right. Early and often. And especially if you're a pitcher, you said that you're going to go out there and like, okay, I get to relax now. I don't have to worry about making mistakes. I got an early lead. And when you, doesn't matter any position, when you think I can afford to make a mistake, you don't make them.
Hawksworth with a 1-2. Tried the outside corner, came up empty. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Victorino, the number 6 hitter, to bat here in the first inning. Ibanez at third base, Howard at second. He has an RBI double, his 74th RBI, incidentally, to add to his National League lead. Long inning for the right-hander, and it's going to continue as he missed badly there. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
A little similar to Hawksworth's last start. That was against the Houston Astros. The first inning, he threw about 35 pitches. Made some good pitches. Those hitters got some accidental contact, got a couple of knocks, and he also struggled with his command. But you don't want to have these tough innings early on.
3-2, rocketed up the middle for a base hit. In comes Ibanez. Howard rounding third. He's trying to score. Rasmus throws, not a good one. 2 runs in. Victorino comes through, and he picks up that big hit you were talking about. 3-0 Philadelphia. They look wide awake in St. Louis tonight. Shane Victorino with 2 RBIs.
Well, here comes with the pitch. It's a 3-2 pitch. He doesn't want to walk him. He doesn't want to walk the bases loaded. And Victorino does a good job trying not to do too much and driving that ball right back up the middle. And I look at Colby Rasmus out there in center field. When he was throwing that ball in, he makes it a cutoff man. So Shane Victorino has to stay at first base. He did a good job. He was watching all the way to see if he can take that extra base.
Victorino with 17 stolen bases, dug out by Pujols, and a rocky first inning continues for Blake Hawksworth, who was not anticipated to go very deep into the game anyway because he's coming out of their bullpen. This is just his 6th major league start. He hasn't gone beyond 6 innings in any outing, and facing his 7th man in Carlos Ruiz, a .275 hitter with 2 homers, the Philadelphia catcher.
Well, guys, as I was saying there in that last start for Hawksworth, 35 pitches in the first inning, but he gave up 2 runs and then surprisingly zeros, and then came out in the 6th inning. So he has an ability, once he finds it, to really settle in.
Fouled off. Ruiz has already gone deep against this guy on May 4th. In fact, it was a walk-off solo home run off Hawksworth to give the Phillies a 2-1 win over the Cardinals in a game that went 10 innings. That on a 94-mile-an-hour fastball. Ruiz smart to get rid of that helmet going into the pile.
I don't know about the jump, though.
Yeah.
I thought the jump was outlawed now after Kendry Morales.
Oh, another one there Pujols had to range for and try and apply that tag on Victorino. Almost got by. On the pickoff attempt at first.
Well, Shane with 2 outs, he's getting out there where he can feel pretty comfortable as he goes back to the bag there standing up, and that's kind of an in-between distance. He's not far enough for that step and a dive.
Runner goes swinging. That one laced into right field. That'll drop down for a base hit. Victorino rounding second, heading for third. The throw cut off, and you could see Jay in right field battling the sun on that line drive as well. He really had to be careful and play that cautiously. but the hits keep on coming for Philadelphia.
Oh, this is a good sign for Philly, who needs to score early. They need to score often, but Dave, as you talk about that sun, as an outfielder, you can't overcommit. Sure, you can read that off the bat. You'd love to come in and make a nice little sliding catch, get your team into the dugout, put those hitting shoes on, and do some damage. But with the speed of Victorino, and quite frankly with just about anyone on the Phillies roster, with 2 outs, going there on contact or running on the pitch like Victorino was, that ball goes behind you, and there's nobody to back you up. Everybody scores just about.
Well, this will be the 29th pitch of the first inning for Blake Hawksworth, and not out of it yet. He has surrendered 5 hits, 4 of them singles. And here's Wilson Valdez. He's the man filling in for Chase Utley at second base, taking strike 1.
That's even a big play. What people don't think about even after that play, what John Jay did, keeping that ball in front, not letting it go by him. Now you're going in with the 8th hitter, and possibly, you know, even if you walk him, you're still got to face the pitcher to try to get yourself out of this inning. So I think that was just a really good play, John Jay out there in right field.
Fouled away 0-2 on Valdez. 3-0 Philadelphia. Shaking off last night in that loss to the Chicago Cubs on Sunday Night Baseball. And one of the aces, well, the ace of the Philadelphia team, Roy Halladay, was knocked around, and also wild as he drilled Ibanez, or drilled a Cub a couple of times. Here comes the 0-2 pitch. Nope, fake throw over to first base, and the runner gets back. Now the pitcher Kendrick on deck. Runners at first and third. 2 men out. There's Marlon Byrd, who got hit by a pitch on 2 occasions. Waved at and foul tipped. He's just in there. Valdez stays alive, still 0-2. The Phillies getting off to a quick start, even though Rollins made the first out. Dave Duncan trying to figure out some words of wisdom for Blake Hawksworth when he comes inside the dugout. But he has been out there a long time here in the first inning. This is the 8th man he's facing. The 0-2 pitch. High fly into left field underneath Craig. And that will finally end it. But the Phillies rip off 5 hits, and they score it 3 times. Looking for an answer from Albert Pujols when we come back to St. Louis. Well, not the start Tony La Russa had in mind. He is quickly down 3-0. The manager of the Cardinals in his 15th season managing St. Louis. For the Phillies, their most first inning runs since they got 3 on June 19th in the opening frame. Here's a look at La Russa's lineup. Switch hitter Lopez at the top, then the youngster John Jay. Pujols followed by Colby Rasmus in his 2nd year. He's hit 16 home runs.
And 42 RBIs. And why is he batting 4th? They get Matt Holliday a day off today in that 4th spot, and why not put the young kid in there? He's having such a tremendous year. I mean, he has a .547 slugging percentage, which is good for 7th in the NL.
They are missing Ryan Ludwig as well right now. Up against right-hander Kyle Kendrick. He's 5-3. The single baller has loved pitching against the Cardinals, Chris. He is 4-0 against them with a 1.67 ERA.
Well, Kyle Kendrick has that good 2-seam sinker fastball, 89-91. Charlie Manuel calls him a rhythm pitcher. When he gets into his rhythm, it's like a machine at the knees, throwing that sinker to both sides of the plate. They'll need him to do that here tonight. His last 3 starts, dealing 1-0 with a 2.16 ERA.
Now St. Louis just swept the Dodgers 4 straight over the weekend to grab that half-game lead over Cincinnati. Now trying to get their bats going. Lopez playing third base tonight, 268 with 5 home runs. And then John Jay, an impressive young right fielder, right behind him in front of Albert. And Kendrick's first pitch will miss low for ball 1. Kendrick 6'3", about 215 pounds, out of Houston, Texas. He turned down a football scholarship to play quarterback at Washington State, so he could sign with the Phillies out of high school in 2003. Now, he has already pitched exceptionally well against St. Louis on 1 occasion this year. He needed just 93 pitches, and he shut them out over 7 innings back on May 5th. Ground ball up the middle and a base hit. Lopez gets them going. the leadoff man on for St. Louis. So let's check out the team defensively now that the Phillies put out there. In the outfield, it's Raul Ibanez in left field, Shane Victorino, Gold Glover in center field, and Wirth, who has a terrific arm in right. Up the middle, it's Rollins and Valdez until Utley comes back. On the corners, Polanco, who won those Gold Gloves as a second baseman, and Ryan Howard at first, and Ruiz, a very reliable backstop, and they enjoy pitching to him. That'll bring up John Jay at .360 with 3 homers and 10 runs batted in. Left-hand hitter out of the University of Miami, where he was a 3-time All-American. And the rookie recently called up and batting in a pretty good spot right in front of Albert Pujols as he takes one outside.
Well, the advantage that Jay has his second stint up here in the big leagues this season. He was up for a month earlier, got an opportunity to sort of feel things out. What's it like here in the big leagues? The game's still the same, but you have some of the nuances of travel, clubhouses, stadiums, all those things. Now he's a lot more relaxed and comfortable, and La Russa likes the way he plays the game.
Runner goes, great jump, swung on, slicing fly to left field. Ibanez on the move. He can't get it. It's a fair ball, and that one bounces up into the corner and into the stands. It'll be a ground rule double, and it'll be second and third for Albert Pujols as Jay dropped it right inside the line.
Well, Raul Ibanez, as the left fielder, you can smell trouble. Left-hander up there, takes that sinker on the outside corner. It's going to slice away from you towards the line. And you're just hoping that it'll bounce up in the stands, Nomar, because if it trickles along that sidewall and you start playing hockey down there, it turns into a triple.
You're kicking it around, and I know as a shortstop, if I'm out there, I'm going, okay, hurry up, get it to me as you're chasing it around, because you know those guys are flying around the bases.
Here's Pujols taking a strike. Albert .307 with 21 homers, 64 RBIs. Some would say mildly disappointing, those numbers across the board. Although look at the OPS, 980 for the 3-time most valuable player. He gets a piece and fouls it away. It's 0-2.
I like how you put that. Some would say mildly disappointed. I want to find out who those some are saying, because, and you're right, it's unbelievable. I mean, that's just we talked about the beginning of the game, but that's the standard he has set for himself. A .307 average is bad. We expect him to hit .320, .330 all the time.
21 bombs at this point in July, and something's amiss. It's incredible, but those are the standards. Just made his 9th All-Star game in 10 years. Rasmus right behind him, and a base hit will mean 2. That's inside.
And Pujols has remarked that this has sort of been his toughest first half of the season, yet his numbers still pretty strong. So he thinks this could be his best season ever, and in anticipation of a hot second half. And not just for him, but for some of the other guys on that club as well.
The 1-2 pitch. He lets that one go. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Albert passed on participating in the home run derby at the All-Star game, but he did arrange for a private plane to take him and the other Cardinal All-Stars to Anaheim. Adam Wainwright, one of those first-time All-Stars, said that was very, very nice. It was a great way to go to Anaheim. Really nice. The 2-2. Bounding ball is short. Rollins will have it. The run is in. Runner holding at second base. 1 man out. RBI number 65 for Albert Pujols.
Well, great opportunity for Albert to do some damage there. Kendrick, I'm sure, was happy with just 1 run batted in. Let's take a look at the pitches. 2-seam fastball in the outside corner. That one is well a little bit up. Runs that one up and in. Not the command you see at the knees, but he's getting him a full look at the strike zone, and there just runs it in just enough to miss the barrel of the bat, and that's all you have to do. Kendrick's not a strikeout guy. He's not a power pitcher. He just has to miss the barrel, and did an excellent job there against Pujols.
Well, here's Rasmus hitting .279, 16 home runs, 42 RBIs in his second season at the big league level. We mentioned Ryan Ludwig is one of those who is out for St. Louis. Usually bats in a 2 spot. He's on a DL with a calf strain. So Rasmus has had to help pick up the slack there. At this rate, he's going to hit about 30 home runs, and you got to think the Cardinals would be delighted with that. Sharply hit, nice stab there by Valdez to get the out, and down to third moves Jay, and there are 2 down, 3-1 Philadelphia.
Kobe Rasmus smoked that ball right at Wilson Valdez. Wilson Valdez was kind of looked like he tried to protect himself, and he made a great play out there to keep that run from scoring. I mean, right now, when you're the Phillies, you know, Kyle Kendrick, you don't want to give up any runs, obviously, because your team just scored 3. You want to get them back in that dugout, and you're St. Louis. You're like, you know, that one run, you're happy. You're like, okay, let's try to take the momentum back from these guys.
No, Kendrick not out of it yet. A runner at third base and facing another rookie in Alan Craig. It was 4 for 11 since they called him up. Just turned 26 yesterday, and he celebrated by filling in for the resting Albert Pujols, and he drove in 3 runs on his birthday. Right-hand hitter out of Cal Berkeley in Northern California, and they like him a lot. The count goes to 2-0.
Can't be half bad then from Northern Cal. That's where I grew up, so hey, props to Alan Craig. But they talk about this kid as a run producer. In fact, during batting practice, some of the Phillies players were watching him hit the ball like, who is this kid? The power that he was showing to all fields, but doesn't have to do it with a home run, can do it with a single or an extra base hit.
Now the Cardinals minor league player of the year in 2009. He has power. He hit 26 home runs at AAA, batting .322. He opened up this season with the Cardinals, but he only played 8 games at the major league level, and they sent him back to AAA Memphis. He was recalled on Thursday, and he'll take a strike. Runner at third, 2 down, a run in, but the Phillies got 3 right away in the top of the first inning, and they lead it 3-1. Kendrick trying to make sure that runner is stranded at third. Here comes the 3-1 pitch to Craig, and he looks at another strike, and the count fills up. Skip Schumacher on deck.
Well, I like the base that I'm seeing out of Alan Craig. His foundation, his feet, they look like they're pretty quiet. He looks like he's got excellent balance, and really a pitch right there, Nomar. It was a strike, but I don't think it was a strike he wanted.
The payoff pitch, caught on and missed. He struck him out, and the side is retired. They do get 1 run. Jimmy Rollins coming to bat second as the Phillies trying to keep it rolling, up 3-1. Some good eating here in St. Louis. More Major League Baseball on ESPN Wednesday night. Steven Strasburg and the Washington Nationals face Scott Rowland and the Reds at 7 Eastern. And then on ESPN Sunday Night Baseball, presented by Taco Bell, Albert Pujols and the Cardinals battle the Cubs. As the pitcher Kendrick, just 2 for 29 at the plate, will lead off the inning here. Top of the second inning, he'll be followed by Rollins and then Polanco. Polanco's the man who started the first inning uprising with a base hit. First of 5 hits off Blake Hawksworth, and the Phillies struck for 3 fast ones. Pitcher working quickly but misses down low.
Well, Dave, this is what you like to see, the pitcher leading off the inning. That's why Tony La Russa bats his guy 8th. That way he makes the last out of the previous inning and get some turnover to the top of the lineup. Just curious though how many times that actually works out over the course of the season.
Yeah, what's your get? Do you like that idea? I guess not.
No,
I
got speechless on that. How would I go? But
no, I'll let you think about it. Let's toss it to Jay Harris for a SportsCenter in-game update. Jay?
All right, Dave, here's some of what's happening on SportsCenter right now. The Yankees' Andy Pettitte headed to the DL after straining his groin Sunday. Could be out 4 to 5 weeks. Sergio Mitre will replace him in the rotation for the Yanks. There's a new leader at the Tour de France with defending champion Alberto Contador taking the lead from Andy Schleck. Baseball tonight after the game, SportsCenter 11 Eastern. Back to Dave O'Brien in St. Louis.
Jay, thank you. Here's Rollins stepping in. Jimmy 0 for 1 with a fly to center. Lopez, the third baseman, thinks he may bunt. He is in close on the grass at third. 3-1 Philadelphia in the second inning. Polanco will follow. Kendrick, the pitcher, taking ball 4, and that's in there for a called strike. Tony La Russa has always been a little bit unusual in how he chooses to manage, and particularly where he hits these last several years his pitcher. Do you think it pays off?
Well, I think he thinks so, and you know, he's had some pitchers in the past that can really hit as well, so I can understand maybe moving them into that 8th spot. But when you don't have that, there's also the thought that, well, my 9th hitter, it's like having 2 leadoff guys, you know, in my lineup. But I go, if you have 2 leadoff guys in their lineup that well, then why would you bat them necessarily 9th in front of that pitcher and behind that pitcher?
It's interesting because it has not set any sort of a trend, as that one is ripped and off the glove of Schumacher. But will he have a play at second to throw there, and he got him. And again, that ball came from shadow into sun and might have wreaked all sorts of havoc there with Schumacher.
That's a tough play for a second baseman, like you said, having to deal with that. The ball also had a little bit of movement going away from him. He did a good job knocking it down, staying with the play, and he looked over his shoulder to see where the runner is. That's just great field presence right there, because he knows he still might have a chance. The base runner is really stuck. There's nothing you can do, because you have to freeze and you assume that he's going to make that catch, and that's what Kyle Kendrick did, and you're able to get the force out.
And that's all it is, a 4-6 fielder's choice. As Polanco gets in, he has singled and scored a run. But Chris, is that a function of the shadows, or is that just too much English on that line drive?
Well, I think it is the shadows. You see Schumacher, he's in the sun, and then everyone is dark. And when he jumped, it looked like it hit the heel of his glove, like he over jumped and didn't quite see it. Now, unless that ball was knuckling, which you usually don't see it knuckle so much in the infield, Nomar. I know in the outfield you'd see the ball knuckle out there, but does it have enough time to knuckle in the infield getting to you?
It occasionally does, yeah. It definitely does, but I think on that play particularly, when we look at the way he is standing out there in the sun, I think the sun and the shadows are more of an issue than that ball knuckling.
That's going to be that way for a little while, because again, the game started an hour earlier than normal here in St. Louis at 6 o'clock on an 83-degree night. So Rollins, the runner at first base with 1 man out, and Polanco, a terrific contact hitter. Rollins with 6 stolen bases on the season.
And Jimmy's missed a significant amount of the season with the calf injury. He's back. He says he feels great, but he's been a little bit reluctant to push it and steal a bag. But he says it's time for him to start going.
Not running here. Ground ball right next to the bag. Ryan taps it, gets the out onto first, and a double play. Side retired. So a very noisy first, a real quiet second inning here in St. Louis. 3-1 Philadelphia. 2 previous NL MVP first basemen are playing tonight. Albert Pujols has won it 3 times in 05, the last 2 seasons, and Ryan Howard won it in 06 with the Phillies, leading the league with 58 homers and 149 RBIs. Howard finished second to Pujols in 08. And a look at first baseman to win the National League MVP. Of course, Stan Musial in 1946. Great Willie McCovey in 1969. There have been 25 first basemen to go into the Hall of Fame. That was their primary position at the time they went into the Hall of Fame. And we may be looking at 2 more here tonight who are well on their way. I don't think there's any debate that they are well on their way, as Skip Schumacher leads off the inning.
I definitely can't argue. I mean, the way these guys are playing and the way they lead their teams, and they both led their teams to World Series as well.
I like the fact that Ryan Howard, his work ethic has improved over time. You see how he's lost weight, he's trimmed down, he's worked more on his defense, really wanting to be a complete player coming to the season, wanted to be a 300 hitter. So here's a guy that signed a very lucrative contract, but has his sights set so much higher on just getting paid and just turning in a good season. And to your point, Nomar, I think he's looking to be a Hall of Famer by the time it's all said and done.
Schumacher will flip the bat. He takes ball 4, and Kendrick walks his first man. Not content just to be known as a slugger. And don't you think, Nomar, that watching Albert Pujols, who has won a Gold Glove, he's made himself an outstanding defensive first baseman and has always hit for a very high average, along with the great home run totals and driving in runs. Albert is that complete first baseman. He can actually steal you a base too.
He is. You're absolutely right, and I think that often gets so overlooked when you have a guy that's puts up those offensive numbers, that he can also steal a bag. He also plays good defense. And I think for Ryan Howard, everyone was always talking about just being a slugger. And like Chris said, he says, I'm going to go focus on my defense as well. I want to be that total package. And, you know, it's very easy to sign that big deal, that big long-term deal. You know you're going to be here for a while. And he's like, it doesn't mean you get to relax. He's going out there. He's like, that means I got to work that much harder now that I have it.
Yadier Molina will lay off and take a strike. And Chris, they're good buddies. They work out together here in St. Louis. As we mentioned, this is Ryan Howard's home. City of St. Louis is where he was born and raised, and I don't think there's any doubt that Pujols has pushed Howard to another level.
Well, his leadership that Albert Pujols has, it really attracts followers quickly. Whether it's the guys on his own team, you talked about Wainwright and Carpenter and Molina having the privilege to ride to the All-Star game, or fly, I should say, on a private charter with Albert, but they look to him as the best player in baseball, and they can feed off of his work ethic.
Runner goes, the pitch low, and it's bobbled by Ruiz. It'll be a stolen base for Schumacher. So Tanarusa has his guys running early. Ruiz did not give himself a chance as he dropped it.
Well, you got to get aggressive here, especially early in the ball game, and you see there Carlos Ruiz just having a little bit of trouble on the exchange. Sometimes you have some sweat that runs down to the fingertips. Wasn't able to get a handle on it, and Schumacher runs well enough, above average, to steal that bag.
And that's ball 4. So Molina takes the free pass. Back-to-back walks here by Kendrick. Let's get it back to the studio and bring in our man Jay Harris. Jay.
All right, Dave, this scoring update brought to you by 1800 Tequila. Reds and Nationals bottom second. Drew Stubbs with a 2-run double. Since he then added 2 more, 4-0 right now. Reds lead the majors in runs scored. Cardinals would like some runs. They have a chance. Back to Dave O'Brien in St. Louis.
Jay, thank you. That Cincinnati team has lost 6 out of its last 10, and they have fallen a half game behind the Cardinals, who have ripped off 5 straight wins. Rich Doobie, the pitching coach of the Phillies, out to try and calm down Kendrick a little bit after the back-to-back walks here. St. Louis just swept the LA Dodgers to grab the lead. Do you feel like Cincinnati's going away, or do they just have too much? They're actually getting better with the pitching, getting healthier.
They're not going anywhere. I think all season long we're going to see the Cardinals and the Reds doing a little bit of a flip-flop, and the Reds really weren't in the picture outside of Aaron Boone, who picked them to win the division. We all came into the season thinking it'd be the Cardinals and the Cubs, vying for the NL Central.
Well, here's the pitcher coming up in a spot with runners at first and second and looking to drop down a bunt.
I was just thinking that. I go, well, here's a perfect time where, all right, first and second, nobody out. You're thinking bunt anyway, so you're probably happy that your pitcher is up to hopefully get that down for you.
Well, especially given the fact that Hawksworth does not appear to be much of a hitter. Given the early results, showed bunt, pulled it back, and now shows again, and he got it down. Kendrick has to feel it, gets the out. Well done by Hawksworth. So if he can't hit, looks like he can drop down a bunt. Schumacher to third and Molina into second.
I've got to imagine for a pitcher just doing your job right there. It's a great feeling as a position player when you can get the bunt down, or you can hit behind the runner to move him up to third base. But as a pitcher, this is all you pretty much get to do from the offensive standpoint. He drops down a perfect little bunt, moves those runners up, and it's nothing that the runners have to rush or wait for a little pop-up to drop and really sprint to the base ahead of them. Nice job by Hawksworth there.
The Cardinals can tie it on a base hit, although Molina is the trail runner. We'll see how this works out. Brendan Ryan has had all sorts of trouble, though, this season, hitting just 193. This is a guy who last season batted over 290, playing every day. So it's been rough sledding for him, but 2 men in scoring position. High chop on the infield. Rollins will go to first base as he guns him down it by half a step to run in as Schumacher scores. Molina holding at second base. That makes it 3-2 Philadelphia.
there's a perfect example right there with Brendan Ryan, like you were just talking about. His average, he might be struggling a little bit this year. And when you have an opportunity with second and third, the defense is playing back. You don't have to do too much. I know from a batting average standpoint, you're thinking, okay, this doesn't help my average, but it helps the team, and you get an RBI. And he's still hustling down that line to make that play so close. But that's what I really like to see, and that's a good job that's Blake Hawksworth RBI right there by moving those runners over.
Top of the order in Felipe Lopez. He singled and scored a run in the first inning. So the Cardinals certainly not in any kind of a panic. They got behind quickly, 3-0. Now they start chipping away. They're within 1. And Lopez can single in Molina here and tie the ball game. And for Kendrick, a sloppy start to this second inning, walking the first 2 men. That is always going to be trouble. The 1-0 pitch to Lopez will land in the strike zone.
For me, there are certain plays in that we just saw that are just so important that there's no stat out there to say how valuable that is. Like Blake Hawksworth getting that bunt down really helps Brendan Ryan, even though he may be struggling. But that's an important bat just to get your confidence back. Say, hey, I got an RBI. I did something that produced something.
Roll to the right side. Valdez an easy play. And the side is retired, but the Cardinals get another one back, and it's a 3-2 game. Phillies up by 1, and Ryan Howard looking hungry.
ESPN Monday Night Baseball, presented by Vonage, is brought to you by Orbitz. Visit Orbitz.com today and save.
Gateway to the West, of course, the St. Louis Arch. Chris, you were ribbing Nomar a little bit in the commercial break. You were giving him the Boston version of, what do they call that in Boston?
Nomar, hit one over that ice.
That's it. That's it. Nicely done. Raul Ibanez with a base hit and a run scored in the first inning as part of a 3-run, 5-hit first for the Phillies. They'll be followed by Ryan Howard and Jason Worth. So it's the heart of the order here against Blake Hawksworth, who settled down in the second inning. Check swing foul here. Got a big double play ball. And didn't have to face these 3 guys, Ibanez, Howard, and Worth. There's no doubt the disabled list has hampered the Phillies' efforts to return to form. They've had 12 players, including Chase Utley right now, spending time on the DL this year. 5 of them are relief pitchers. Ground ball, and the pitcher with a nice stab. Hawksworth with it, drops it, and gets it there in time. It was a 1-1-3. Well, we've been talking tonight about Howard and Pujols and the comparison between these 2 great sluggers. And already they've matched up in so many categories. Both of them have won the National League Rookie of the Year. Albert way back in 01. Albert, of course, has won 3 MVPs. Howard won it in 2006. And they both performed in postseason play extremely well, winning the NLCS MVP. And both of their teams, as you mentioned, Nomar, have gone on to become world champions.
And both guys are big guys, strong guys, and I can see why they work out with each other. And I'm sure they're going to be getting phone calls this year and say, can I join you? Can I join you? They can open up their own gym, and it'll be full of baseball players going, whatever you guys are doing, maybe you can rub off on me.
I think you have an investment opportunity already at your fingertips. Into the shift here, Schumacher in shallow right, has to gun to get him. Howard got up that line pretty good. 2 up, 2 down. Let's get back to the studio for an update. Here's Jay Harris. Jay.
All right, Dave, thank you. This scoring update brought to you by Arby's. Rangers and Tigers. Top third, Josh Hamilton. RBI single. Michael Young coming around to score. That made it 4-2. It is now 5-2. Back to Dave O'Brien in St. Louis.
That Texas team can flat swing the bats, guys. 1 through 6. They're about as dangerous as any 1 through 6 you're going to find. Certainly that side of the New York Yankees, and especially the year that Josh Hamilton is having and Vladimir Guerrero, they're going to vie for MVP, both of them.
And a triple crown.
Yeah, true. Swinging and a rolling up the third base line. They're going to let it die there. It's going to be a fair ball, and Jason Worth with probably the shortest single he's hit all season long, but he'll take it the way things are going for him. 236 in his last 57 games.
No, you couldn't have rolled it up the third base line any better than that. That's what we call a swinging bunt. Not exactly a great feeling for a hitter coming off the bat, but once you're going up the line and you realize there's not going to be a play, it becomes a good feeling because a base hit is a base hit, especially when you've been scuffling. Sometimes those are the things, Nomar, that can unlock the door and allow you to get going.
Oh, for sure. That's just what you're looking for. I always see hitters sometimes, let's just square around and bunt. Let's just get on and get that feeling.
Shane Victorino batting on the left side. A 2-run single in the first inning for Victorino.
You know, that bunt or a swinging bunt like we just saw by Jason Worth can just change things around because hitting's all about confidence, as you know, and that gets that confidence. Like, all right, I got my hit out of the way. Now I can start rolling.
I got to ask both of you guys, though. You know, when you're raking the ball or when you're going bad, you're hitting line drives and right at somebody, you know you hit it good, you barrel up the ball and somebody makes a diving play or whatever. When you hit a little trickler like that, a swinging bunt that rolls about 37 feet, are you thinking, okay, it finally evened out for me?
They never even out.
Finally evened out for me.
I kept count. By the time I retired, I think I was up to maybe my first year in the minor leagues. That's when my line drive out.
So they never even out.
They don't even out. Everyone says they do, but they do not.
Yeah. I've heard hitters say that before. You guys are all greedy, though. Swing and a miss by Victorino.
And they say it all evens out. I remember my rookie year. It was right around the time where the umpires were looking at possible, strike or situation work stoppage. And I hit a ball against the Cardinals off McGuire, trickled down the line off of his leg, a shot. I beat it. I'm through the bag like a step and a half, and the umpire calls me out. I think they're a little bit, they had a lot of things on their mind. Yeah. He said to me the next day, hey, I missed it. I hope it evens out for you. Well, I come up on the last day of the season, and I'm right at 300, Nomar. And you start thinking about those times where umpires made the wrong call, and they admitted it, and they gave you the courtesy. I hope it evens out. You're saying, boy, I sure hope it does, too, because today the difference in one hit could be that line, which we all want to be on or above, which is 300.
What'd you finish hitting?
Right at 300.
Right at 300.
Thankfully.
See, they evened out. He was right.
Yeah, I don't know about it. A little breathing room on the last day would have been nice.
Yeah, that's true.
Come in at about 305 or something.
Yeah, you're like, all right, over. I'm still above 300.
Worth at first base, 2 down, 3-2 Phillies here in the top half of the third inning. Up high, snap, tossed down to first. A tag, and he's out. Worth couldn't get back in. Molina strikes again with a laser beam down the first base line. By now they should know better.
What just a quick release and just a great tag by Albert Pujols, right on the money.
Stan Musial, 1946, the MVP of the National League, as the first baseman for these St. Louis Cardinals. By the way, one of 3 first basemen for the Cardinals who have gone to the Hall of Fame in Cooperstown. There's the statue outside of Busch Stadium of Stan the Man. John Jay leading off, and then Albert Pujols. They don't have a statue yet of Albert here at Busch Stadium, but they have plenty of time to get that in the works. Cut on and missed by Jay, who ripped a double in the first inning. Great statue, very popular here in St. Louis for fans to gather and take photos. An immensely popular player here, and a true gentleman. 1-1 pitch is down and in on Jay.
And I know, he becomes a free agent after next year, Albert Pujols, and I really hope that they work something out, because he's just another one that you just love to see in just one uniform and what he's meant to this city, this organization.
You're right. It would be hard to see him, the count of 3-1, in another uniform. Now the fans of that city would get used to it very quickly and embrace him wholeheartedly. But of course, the Ryan Howard contract, amping up those dollars, I'm sure Albert and his people were looking at that and going, well, we're probably going to better that. Nice play to his right by Howard, feeds the pitcher for the out. We've seen his improved range. 1 man out. And Albert coming up.
Well, I got to catch up with Albert earlier today with the flip cam there in the batting cage, seeing how this guy goes about his work. He comes out to the field, does his stretching first, loosens up, then he'll go back in the cage. That's Jose Oquendo feeding him some flips. Now, you see him work. You see him take 50 to 60 swings, working up a sweat, looking at his mechanics, his fundamentals. And here's a guy that, without question, leads by example, but he's also a guy that has a top secret T drill that he would not let me film.
He wouldn't let you film it.
He wouldn't let me film it. That's privileged access right there. But I asked him about the tee drill, which I know a little bit about, but he didn't want it to go national and for other people to pick it up, especially pitchers, to know what he's working on in the cage.
Oh, I see. But really, I mean, we weren't going to tell anybody.
No.
We were just going to show it, but we weren't going to tell anybody.
Is it really that secret? I mean, I kind of like to see a little bit more of that behind the scenes on Albert Pujols. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Well, I'll tell you, as a hitter, you want to have every confidence when you're stepping in that box, and if you feel, hey, you might know a little something that the pitcher doesn't, then so be it. You don't want to let all your secrets out.
Well, he's doing something right. He's had 9 seasons with at least a 300 average, at least 30 homers, and at least 100 RBIs. Only Lou Gehrig can match that, and nobody has ever had 10 such seasons of 330 and 100. And in his case, often a lot better than that. Line drive headed for the alley. That's right between Wirth and Victorino. It's going to keep on rolling to the track and up against the wall. Albert Pujols into second base. He'll have a double.
Well, we take a look at the pitch sequence here on the K zone to Albert Pujols. We saw him working in the cage, trying to take a direct path to the ball. Okay, strike 1. It's not where I wanted it. Then it's there on the outside corner. Strike 2, down a little bit, still zoning in. He feels comfortable with where he's at in the batter's box. Not a whole lot of movement, and that's that pitch up with 2 strikes that we saw him over the last year or so. Not so much this year, but last year, especially with runners on in scoring position, where he'd take a high fastball and shoot it the other way. He struggled in that area this year. Maybe that's a sign of him turning things around in this second half.
So a 1-out double for Pujols in front of Colby Rasmus, who's 0 for 1 with a ground at his second.
I chuckled a little bit because, and you're right, turning things around the second half. It's like, how many people like, I would love to have that first half and stay right there all the way through. But
Probably going to drive in about 122 runs, and some people are going to look down their noses at that. Fouled away by Rasmus, who was in a funk earlier this season. He struck out 17 times at one point, over 27 at bats. And then his dad urged him to get his contacts checked, to get the prescription checked. He started wearing the new contacts for the first time. He went 3 for 5 with a home run. And Kobe said, I'm not trying to say that's the reason or make excuses, but I was missing a lot of pitches. I was seeing the pitches well, checking them, but I started having trouble seeing the spin. That's what he really had an issue with.
Recognizing the spin. And people, I've been asked someone, do you really see the spin of the ball? And you do. I mean, it's important, and that gives you confidence. Like, I can see the spin. You pick that up. You know, if you see that breaking ball, you see the fastball, you can recognize that spin. That's why changeups are so effective, because it looks like a fastball coming out of the hand with that spin, and it's slower. It's one of those things as a hitter that you are able to see. Often things like the best pitch in baseball is what they call a backup breaking ball, because it's a ball that is supposed to be a breaking ball, and it comes out of his hand, and you see the spin, and you're going, I'm going to swing where it's supposed to break, and it doesn't break. It just backs up, and you swing right underneath it. It's the most effective because you can see the spin on the ball.
And you're anticipating.
Correct.
The 1-2 pitch to Rasmus. Again, fought off foul. Now, you were an extraordinary hitter, great hitter, batting champ and everything else. I mean, what was your vision tested at? Do you have off-the-charts fighter pilot vision?
I'm not Ted Williams. Luckily, thankfully, knock on wood, I do have very good. I don't know what it's ever been measured at, or if they said, oh gosh,
it's like 2010 or something, isn't it? Something ridiculous. Fly ball hit the dead center. Victorino has room. He'll make the catch. Albert will tag up. He's going to head into third as the throw is cut off, and there are 2 gone. Let's get it back to the studio for an update, and here's Jay Harris. Jay.
Hey, Dave, thanks. Rockies, Ubaldo Jimenez going for his leading 16th win tonight, and the Marlins do not care. Scored 2-2, bottom third. Hanley Ramirez, a little push bunt, and Emilio Bonifacio going to score from third, 3-2. Marlins over the Rockies. Back to Dave O'Brien in St. Louis.
Jay, thank you very much. We'll keep eyes on Jimenez, who's of course had a spectacular season here. St. Louis has the tying run at third base, and Alan Craig, the young left fielder, strikeout victim in the first inning, getting in, fouls it away. 2 men out. A 3-2 ball game. Phillies got 3 right away in the first inning.
Well, Nomar talked earlier about Albert Pujols and his base running. There, he tags up on a ball moves up 90 feet to third base. What I love about Albert is he's not just a guy that drives in runs. He wants to score runs for other hitters, and he put himself closer, maybe taking away a breaking ball that Kendrick doesn't want to drop now.
High fly into left field. This will not get it done. Ibanez is there to make the catch, and Pujols is left at third base. Despite his double, he's stranded. Still 3-2 Phillies after 3. We welcome you back to St. Louis and ESPN's telecast of Major League Baseball presented by Vonage. Very nice night here in St. Louis. E60 returns Tuesday night on ESPN. A profile of Titans running back Chris Johnson. He's looking to improve off a breakout year. Then meet Chelsea Baker, a 13-year-old knuckleball phenom. And the batting stance guy reveals his best batting stances. E60, ESPN Tuesday at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. Chris Singleton, Omar Garciaparra, and Dave O'Brien with you here from Busch Stadium, where it's 3-2 Phillies. Shane Victorino was in the batter's box when Jason Worth was thrown out at first base trying to get back, picked off by Molina, the catcher. Little flare into right. Jay is there. That's the 34th pickoff in a career of Molina. Now here's the man the Phillies are really missing. Chase Utley, the second baseman who had thumb surgery after that torn ligament. This is him earlier today. And watch how tentative he is. And he's trying to get some work in, but really trying to protect that thumb at the same time.
Well, he's smart. I think he just got his cast off. Now he's able to have just kind of the brace that you see there. And you realize how important that thumb is to hold the ball. And you see him drop it. And he still has a ways to go.
Ruiz takes outside ball one. He singled in the first inning. Now that brings up the topic of diving head first and the injuries like this it can bring to a big leaguer. That's a fair ball inside third down the line, rolling up against the stands, and Ruiz is heading into second. He is 2 for 2 tonight. Now a double along with that first inning single. Now I want to get both of your opinions on that, because Nomar, you changed your philosophy because you did get hurt at Georgia Tech back in college. You separated a shoulder.
In college, I was trying to avoid a tag. I knew I got a bad jump, and I was going into second base, and I tried to avoid a tag. Ended up being safe, but because of me, I separated my shoulder, landed my shoulder awkwardly. And after that, I said, forget sliding head first. I went feet first. I think, though, it did cost me a lot of stolen bases later on, even higher. You know, I like to steal. I used to be able to run very well, but I think there's an advantage if you slide head first.
Line drive caught by Ryan. Runner gets back in as Ruiz is saved. 2 gone. Let's give you a look at the injury to Chase Utley and why he required surgery on that thumb on June 28th, diving in. I was trying to stretch a single into a double. Projected to miss 8 weeks after having surgery on the thumb. He missed a month in 07 with a hand injury. Likely not back until late August. So a few stolen bases, or you know, having to settle for a few singles instead of doubles, maybe not a bad thing, Chris.
Well, when he comes back, he's going to have a brace on when he runs the bases. We see some players, I don't know if you wore one or not, Nomar, but we always see Derek Jeter when he gets over to first base. He puts on a hand guard, which guys will do. One thing I did was I would take my batting gloves. I have an extra set of batting gloves in my back pocket. When I got on first base, I put my hitting ones away and grab those running gloves, bunch them up, and hold them in my fists. So my fists were closed, and I didn't expose those fingers on the head first slide, because I think the head first slide, when you're stealing bases, and Chase Utley does steal bases, a very smart base stealer, very successful. You like that extension because it gives the illusion to the umpire that you're in there, maybe times when you're not.
Did you feel that way too, Nomar, that it could buy you, I mean, even though you changed your style, that you saw it down at second base when you were covering, you know, it could buy a call?
It does. I truly believe it does. And that's nothing to say going on the umpires or anything like that. For whatever reason, I don't know if there's if visually they look like you get there faster. Maybe they also believe that if you go head first, I mean feet first. If you go feet first, you're thinking, okay, that heel's kind of dragging, so that's going to slow you down. So if you see that, they're like, all right, even if the tag's maybe around your calf, you slow down, get into the bag, and so that tag beats you. Whereas if they say, okay, they got you in the forearm, when you go head first, they go, well, you got him in the forearm, so that means his hand was in there. He was safe because you tagged him up in the forearm. So I think it can buy you some calls.
By the way, the second time that Kendrick has taken a walk, the pitcher, walked by Blake Hawksworth for the second time, and Molina goes out for a mound visit. Runners at first and second, 2 down. It's 3-2 Phillies, and bidding for more here in the 4th inning. Now you see a player the caliber of a Chase Utley go down because of a play like that, and it cost him a huge chunk of the season, and maybe the Phillies don't make it back to postseason play because of that. And how about the old feet first slide and the lost art of that slide? I always thought it looked good for umpires too. It looked like you were expending more effort. You looked like you were trying harder if you dove in head first, you know. and umpires rewarded guys for that.
And feet first, you have the tendency to sort of pop up after you slide, which I think visually makes it look more like you're out than you're safe.
Yep. Here's Rollins. He has fly to center and also into a fielder's choice he's hit into, so he's 0 for 2 tonight.
I just think when you think of all those factors, so what do? I mean, there's that risk reward, but you know, I don't think Chase Utley's going to stop going head first, and I can understand that. That's why I can't knock that, but hopefully he can grab some batting gloves next time to keep those fingers in. There's just some adjustments you make, you know, whether it be that brace or what have you, but it's tough to just stop it cold turkey. It took me some time myself to kind of go feet first, and especially stolen base, but never did it when I was going at home plate though.
Ruiz and Kendrick leading, a chopper up the middle, ranging and missing Schumacher. Here comes the run as Ruiz will score. RBI single by Rollins, just got under the Schumacher, and it's 4-2 Philadelphia. And Rollins with his 19th RBI of the season.
Oh, he was definitely playing Jimmy Rollins to pull here, because this ball wasn't hit very hard. You see that high chopper, and most times you see an infielder get a glove on it, but Schumacher not even close, just a huge hole up the middle. And Jimmy Rollins, after hitting the ball hard as last time and not getting rewarded, this time sort of chops one up the middle, Nomar, and says thank you.
Well, because they all even out, just like we talked about.
Of course, yeah. Here's Polanco, the runners at first and second. Flares that one, but Schumacher is there to make the catch. Side retire, but the Phillies grab another one. We go to the bottom of the 4th inning. 4-2 Philly in St. Louis. It was the summer of 1969 in San Francisco, and Willie McCovey was unstoppable. He won the National League MVP with the Giants, leading the league with 45 homers, 126 RBIs, and a .453 on-base percentage. Not to mention his .656 slugging percentage. And Chris, a lot of that was at Old Candlestick Park as well, which was not all that friendly.
Oh, wasn't friendly for anybody. As a fan, I remember as a kid growing up and going to some of those games where I lived about 30 minutes away. It was hot, 90 degrees. You get to Candlestick Park and you see people under blankets in the middle of the summer just freezing trying to watch a ball game. So those conditions not easy, but McCovey, wow, amazing numbers that year.
Last half of the 4th inning, Skip Schumacher, the second baseman, walked and stole a base and scored a run in the second. His second season as the Cardinals' everyday second baseman, moving from the outfield. Left-hand hitter, a native of California. Last 2 years he's hit .302 and .303, and Omar, a real good contact guy.
Puts the ball in play. I love these guys, especially we talk about when we just those situations where you have second and third in the infield back. Sometimes you just need to put in play to get that RBI.
On deck, Molina, and then the pitcher's spot, Blake Hawksworth. 4 runs on 8 hits for the Phillies, 2 runs on 3 hits for St. Louis. And Kendrick gives up a high fly ball, but not terribly deep, and Worth is underneath it. And that'll be the first out in the inning. Let's get into the studio for an update on the night's action. Here's Jay Harris.
Hey, Dave, there's some action. Astros and Cubs. Top first in Chicago, Carlos Lee with a double. Lance Berkman, Hunter Pence coming around to score. That made it 4-0. It is 5-0 right now. Top first, going to the bottom of the first, 7 hits for Houston so far, 5-zip. Dave O'Brien, back to you in St. Louis.
The up and down Cubs. Thank you very much, Jay. Here's Molina. He's made a great defensive play. Hits that one sharply. Kendrick on his toes and flips over to get him. 2 fast outs in the bottom of the 4th inning.
Omar, if you're in the studio in Bristol, are you thinking web gym right there? Kendrick, he got up a little bit.
He did jump pretty high right there and glove that. You know what? It might be a candidate. We'd have to look at it. and see what else is going on around the league.
It'll make the 10 o'clock show.
Did he have to jump?
The midnight show.
I don't think he had to jump either, so points off for that. If that's a web gem, you guys are easy. I had no idea that. Is that the extent of the conversation on a web gem?
Well, Dave, some nights it is slim pickings. I mean, there are some nights where it's hard to find a web gem. So
you're really digging.
Yeah.
Well, let's hope tonight isn't one of those. We've got to have something better than that tonight. Not that that was by any means a below average play in there for strike 3. And so Kendrick retires the pitcher. And when we come back, it'll be Ibanez, Howard, and Worth for the Phillies. Major League Baseball is proud to support Stand Up to Cancer. Visit standuptocancer.org to learn how you can help us in the fight against cancer. On to the 5th inning. Chris Singleton, Nomar Garciaparra, Dave O'Brien with you. And Blake Hawksworth back at it against Raul Ibanez. Again into the heart of the order. And he's had trouble with these guys. Ibanez has a hit tonight. So does the man behind him, Ryan Howard. And so does Jason Worth. 3, 4, and 5. And the 27-year-old from North Vancouver, British Columbia, has so far surrendered 4 runs on 8 hits into the 5th. Ibanez last year with 34 homers, 93 runs batted in, although he did fade in the second half because of an abdominal injury. And his numbers took a serious dip after the All-Star break. He did hit a home run in the World Series against the Yankees and tags a single, his second base hit tonight. He is 2 for 3. And that'll send up Howard, who has doubled and grounded out to second. Now it's time to take a look at who is stepping up to the plate, brought to you by One A Day Men's. Howard with 21 homers, now 74 RBIs. That is number 1 in the National League. And look what he has done recently over the last 10 games. 6 home runs, 14 RBIs. One A Day Men's is challenging viewers to step up to the plate for your health. Go to AskMLBTrainer.com to get tips from a Major League Baseball athletic trainer. And a big left-hand hitter takes low ball 1. Howard, a graduate of Lafayette High School here in Missouri. Attended Southwest Missouri State University. And as Chris has pointed out, one of the reasons he loves coming home to St. Louis and hits here so effectively into the shift, maybe a double play. Ryan flings it on to get him. Nicely turned.
Looked like it had a chance off the bat, but as Schumacher wasn't able to close that window on Jimmy Rollins the last inning, gets there easily. Nomar, kind of a strange little double play right there. Ryan behind second base because of the shift, but they get it done.
It was interesting the way Brendan Ryan was at second base waiting for that ball, and he stepped over and still got enough on that ball to turn the double play.
So 2 gone for Worth, and the base is empty. Worth has singled on the infield. He's also popped out to second. There have been some trade rumors around Worth because, as we pointed out, he's in a free agent year. He could go elsewhere at the end of the season.
Yeah, and I was asked earlier, like, what do you know, they go, do the Phillies need to go out and look into trade to try to get another bat? And I'm just going, what do you have to give up? At what expense can you give up to get that bat? And is there a bat out there right now that can still replace Jason Worth's numbers that he's doing if you're thinking about trading him? Because your offense is struggling. You don't give up one of your top hitters right now in your lineup, despite him. You know, we look at some of those numbers, might be struggling a little bit, but he's still putting up some great numbers that are putting the Phillies in the position that they're in right now.
And he has improved every year for the last several seasons. Dominic Brown is the best prospect, and he's a right fielder, close to being ready. So if they do elect to deal him, not indicating any of that is imminent, but if they do, they have a youngster they have a lot of confidence in, they can move in.
Well, a left-handed bat. He's hitting for average and power in AAA right now, which they do like him. But you also look at this Phillies lineup. They've got some lefties in this lineup, and I think keeping Jason Worth, a power righty, helps to balance things out.
Well, Worth will take a walk here with 2 down. Dominic Brown in the spring, and one of the reasons that they have been raving about him. March 16th, the spring game against the Tigers. The highly touted prospect with 2 home runs. The first off Justin Verlander, later off Phil Koch, as he finished 3 for 3 with a walk and 4 RBIs. So perhaps the future right fielder for Charlie Manuel and the Phillies. We shall see. Worth will command a lot of attention if he goes free agent market. Waved at and missed by Victorino.
I think Chris had an excellent point, but when you look at that, you're going, gosh, how many lefties do we have in this lineup? And you need that righty to balance it out, and Worth fits that. And it goes back to my point as well. So what are you going to give up? Why would you trade him at this point? I understand you lose him in the free agent market. You never know. You can sign back as well. You may not lose him, but
rope toward right field, but he hooked it, and a foul ball. Well, last year Worth 36 homers, 99 RBIs. He can steal bases. He has a terrific throwing arm. He's a good outfielder.
The Phillies really need to just look at getting healthy, getting their guys back. Their projected lineup coming out of spring training to start the season has played together 5 games, 5 starts. They've got Jimmy Rollins coming out of the gate, started off hot the first week or two, injury, gone. Then you have he comes off, and they figured, hey, when Jimmy comes back, we're going to get going. He comes back, Chase Utley goes down, and then it's a domino effect because Placido Polanco with them, Carlos Ruiz. So when they can get everyone healthy, and they are a second-half ball club, which really heats up, puts pressure on teams like the Mets and the Braves, I think they have the personnel that they need to win. Maybe a starting pitcher, if they can do that, swing that. Otherwise, they've got the bats, and like Nomar said, I don't think you're going to replace any bat in this lineup with any more potential of being able to contribute to the offensive production.
Right now they're 5.5 games out and in 3rd place. 1-2 to Victorino, and stroke to Schumacher, and that'll do it in the inning. No runs, a hit, a walk, 1 man left. There was a double play. We are halfway through in St. Louis. Still the Phillies leading the Cardinals 4-2 here. Steve Garvey won the National League MVP in 1974 with the Dodgers. He hit .312, 21 homers, drove in 111 runs. The Dodgers would lose the World Series that year to Oakland in 5 games, but Garvey was the MVP of the National League. Obviously talking a lot about talented first baseman tonight with Pujols and Howard going toe-to-toe. Bottom of the 5th coming up, 4-2 Phillies. And they have both contributed to their team's cause tonight. Howard, in fact, with an RBI double, and Albert Pujols with a double and an RBI ground out. And so far the Phillies, off that quick start, have the upper hand. They got 3 in the 1st inning. Brendan Ryan 0 for 1. He is grounded out to short, but he drove in a run. That was in the 2nd inning. Line shot. Here comes Victorino right there. Barely had to move. 1 fast out. Let's get it back for an update, and Jay Harris in the studio. Jay.
Hey, Dave, here's what's happening on SportsCenter right now. Ilya Kovalchuk staying with the New Jersey Devils. ESPN.com reports he signed a 17-year deal worth slightly more than $100 million. 17 years, ending weeks of speculation on just where he might sign. Right-hander Armando Galarraga back with the Tigers after being recalled from AAA Toledo. His next scheduled start tomorrow night at home against Texas. Baseball tonight after the game. SportsCenter, 11 Eastern. Back to Dave O'Brien in St. Louis.
Thanks, Jay. Of course, Galarraga, the man, denied the perfect game. And the no-hit bid by Jim Joyce and that blown call at first base. I think a lot of fans were surprised that they sent him out to the minors after several rocky starts after that.
Yeah, it's after such a height to the season of that near perfect game, or whatever you want to call it, and then scuffling. Here was a guy 2 years ago, 3 years ago, was the number 1, number 2 pitcher in that rotation. I mean, outside of Verlander, it was Galarraga. So things have turned for him, but hopefully he'll make the most of this next opportunity that he has to pitch against the Rangers.
Lopez 1 for 2 with a base hit and scored the very first run of the ball game for the Cardinals.
Dave, 17 years? We can't, Nomar and I keep looking at each other right now. We can't get over that hockey contract. 17 years?
Outside for a ball, and that's going to be ball 4. Well, nobody expects anyone to play 17 years. There has to be.
Well, in hockey, is it like football? Like football, they say you're signing a 24-year contract.
Right. It's got to be one of those deals.
Do they have that in hockey? I mean,
you're not looking at a hockey guy.
But I just don't understand. But 17 years, I'm like, I love some of these football ones where they sign, a 10-year contract, and the guy press conference like, I think I got 3 years left in me, really good ones. And I go,
Remember Magic Johnson early in his career signed a 25-year deal with the Lakers? As John Jay, he's doubled and also grounded out 1 for 2.
Just 17 years hockey. In hockey, those guys don't get beat up. Holy smokes, those guys are amazing athletes. And I'm like, wow, well, good for him. You know where he's going to be.
Jay lays off, and that's in there for a called strike. We talked about what a terrific football player he was growing up in Texas. He went to the same high school that produced Josh Beckett, Spring High in Texas, where he excelled at 2 different sports, but chose baseball, and here he is in the big leagues in his rookie season and not looking overwhelmed. It's one of the things that Tony La Russa has spoken about. He said you can tell this young guy understands the game very well. He gets it.
Has the ability to hit the ball from foul line, fair line to fair line, if you will, bunt for hits. He understands situations, and just great poise for a young player.
And a pretty good eye here. The count 3-1.
That's a huge compliment coming from a manager like Tony La Russa. I know he's your player and he's on his team. You're like, do you expect Tony La Russa? But he's seen a lot of players come through that he has managed, and to rave about John Jay like that. I mean, I have a feeling John Jay's going to be here for a while.
Runner goes, swinging a high fly ball left center field. On his horse, Victorino trying to track it down, won't get to it. Onto the running track up against the wall. Here comes Lopez. He is in to score, and Jay has driven him in, his second double tonight. And it's a 1-run game in St. Louis.
Chris was just talking about John Jay, his ability to drive the ball to all fields. And this is for a young kid to be able to have the power to stay inside the ball, try not to do too much. And he swings through that and drives it to the opposite gap for a short hop in the wall. That just shows the power, him trying to not do too much, staying within himself and getting a double and getting an RBI.
Now, his path to the baseball, it doesn't look like it's that fluid and through. But like you said, the ball carries and it just gets out there, which is saying that there's some more torque than we can actually realize and see on a replay, because that ball carried out. And the flags right now aren't blowing out to left center field, but that had carry away from Victorino and Ibanez, which tells you he's packing some punch in that wood.
Oh, and on that topic, here's Albert Pujols, a double and a ground out for an RBI. Cardinals are 0 for 7 with men in scoring position. There's a drive. This one way back. She is gone. Number 22 for Albert Pujols, who has driven in 3 runs tonight. And he's just put the Cardinals in the lead.
Well, that was that Maruch I-13 model that Albert Pujols swings. 34 inches, 32 ounces against the right-hander, and it had that sound off of it. You didn't even have to be looking at the field. You could tell by the sound that that ball was going to get over the wall or knock somebody down trying to make a catch, and that was an absolute shot. We're in the second half, boys, and I think there are great things to come for Pujols and the Cardinals.
Here's Rasmus. He has tapped out to second, fly to center, 0 for 2. And you're right, that had a peculiar sound, and you didn't even have to see the flight of the ball to know it was probably Albert Pujols who swung the bat and killed it.
I love that. I remember being in the cage so many times and talking to guys who were like, all right, you know, how's the ball coming off your bat? I'm like, don't worry about how it's coming off. Listen to it. Listen to the sound. And we could only hope we could have the sound like Albert Pujols had just there.
0-2 moves him back.
Chris talking about, you know, when that came off his bat, you knew it was either out or knocking someone down. I think it did both. I think it went out and knocked someone down out there in the outfield trying to catch that ball. Wow.
Mercy. 67 RBIs now. Now he's beginning to make noises to catching Howard for the RBI lead. Down the line, long run Polanco, and it's going to be off into the stands. Let's take another look at the Pujols home run swing.
I really love watching Albert Pujols swing. His bat stays through the zone so long, and he just stays through there. He puts his head down, he gets his body behind it, and there's just so much power that he creates.
Let's listen. .422 feet.
Only? He's slipping.
5-4 St. Louis. 1-2 pitch to Rasmus, and that's up and away for a ball.
I'd mentioned that he swings that 34-32 against right-handers. He told me today that against lefties, he'll go to a 34.5-inch bat, still 32 ounces with sort of a halfway cup in the top of the barrel there, or the end of the bat.
Hard hit, nice stab there by Howard behind the bag on the backhand, and there are 2 gone.
And particularly against a pitcher like Jamie Moyer that he'll face in this series, likes a little bit longer bat. You're going to see more off-speed stuff, and as you try to keep your hands back, gives you just a little bit more, half an inch no more, to hit that ball on the barrel when you're out in front instead of it being on the end.
It's true, and we know when they say this game, it's a game of inches, I always say no, it's a game of centimeters, and that little bit can make the difference between squaring it up in the sweet spot and not.
Alan Craig taking inside. He has struck out and flied out. Now, why does he want a half cup in the bat? What's the reason for that?
It keeps the same weight of the bat, so he's not necessarily changing and going, okay, I got to change my swing because the bat's heavier. Because he is getting a little bit, half-inch longer would add a little bit more weight, and the cup creates the same weight as his other bat.
And hitters, especially like hitting specialists like Pujols or Nomar, the balance of the bat, and they can pick up a bat and say, wait a minute, you know, a box of them, this one feels slightly different than the others. And typically there's a cup that all players that choose a cup bat get, but his is shallow. It's not as deep as the normal cup in the bat, but he knows his instruments and what he wants them to feel like.
Oh, look at this one. Craig with a towering fly, left field, and Banez back, and it is gone. Well, the youngster Craig, we've been raving about him all night long. The kid out of Cal Berkeley, his first home run. And they believe he's going to hit many more at the big league level.
These young players really contributing to the Cardinals tonight. John Jay and then Alan Craig here. Really, Kendrick just gave him a cookie right down to the heart of the plate. He is tiring without question, leaving balls up and over the middle, but Craig has that just long pop, high towering shot, just continues to carry out of the ballpark.
You hope they can get that baseball back. His first major league home run. 6-4 St. Louis. Craig, who drove in 3 runs on his birthday yesterday, filling in for Albert Pujols, and he said it was the greatest birthday gift I ever got, and he gave it to himself.
Yeah. Thank you, me.
And follows that up with a big fly in St. Louis in the same inning Albert does it. Cardinals up by 2. Quick turnaround here against Kendrick. Kendrick, by the way, has never lost to the St. Louis Cardinals. He's 4-0 in his career. His ERA is taking a beating, though. It was 1.67 lifetime against St. Louis before tonight. 2 homers and a double in the inning. Schumacher, a 2-1 pitch to him, and there's a drive. Have they done it again? Deep into the corner and gone. St. Louis. 7-4 Cardinals.
Well, we saw that ball up for Alan Craig. And you mean there's a single ball hitter, a pitcher, and here's another ball that's up in the zone. And Skip Schumacher does the exact same thing that Alan Craig did, and he drives it over the right field wall. Chris just talked about that. Cal Kendrick looks a little bit tired, and a single ball pitcher, when they get tired, they leave those balls up in the zone and they flatten out a little bit. And those last 2 home runs, that's exactly what those balls did. They were up in the zone, they flattened out, and both those guys hit that mistake.
Chad Durbin quickly up in the bullpen, and Doobie's going to give him a little extra time to throw down there. Well, home runs by Pujols, Craig, and Schumacher. With Albert, you expect that kind of a swing. For Craig, it was his first major league home run, and for Schumacher, just his 3rd of the season.
Well, it was a slow start to the season for Skip Schumacher. Really struggled out of the gate. He was their leadoff man last year. They had to put him down in the bottom of the order. But over the last month and a half, he's really started to swing the bat better. And we're seeing those kinds of at-bats that really caused him to be that starting second baseman leadoff guy for Tony La Russa in 2009.
See a lot of the Cardinals go to the same barber. 7-4. Look at the 3 home run swings beginning with Albert. And his big fly, the 2-run shot.
Albert is something that we expect, but once again, if you look at the K zone and you see where those balls are hitting in that zone, they're all up and flattened out.
Here's Molina trying to make it 4 in the inning. He's hit 4 for the season. A walk and a tapper back to the mound. And the Cardinals have lit up Busch Stadium tonight with a 5-run 5th. Lifted down the right field line. That's slicing into the corner, and a foul ball.
When we look at the K zone right here, we see those pitches. Here's the stop. We're right down the middle, kind of middle half in, right in Albert's wheelhouse. Then we hear Allegre, you see it right down the middle. And all of those on the upper half of the strike zone. And with a sinker, you know it's just going to come right into a hitter's power.
Also seeing 83, 84 on the velocity. That's a BP fastball as well.
Molina puts it in play to the shortstop Rollins, and that will retire the side. But what an inning for Pujols and the Cardinals. Albert Pujols, his 22nd, absolutely no doubt. Alan Craig, his first major league homer. Schumacher makes it 3 in the inning.
ESPN Monday Night Baseball, presented by Vonage, is brought to you by One-A-Day Men's, the official multivitamin of MLB, specially formulated for men. And Yahoo, all your favorite stuff all in one place. Make Yahoo your home.
Well, you'd think we're in Philly, but we are in St. Louis. You can still get a pretty good Philly cheesesteak right here at Busch Stadium. Now St. Louis fattening up on the pitching of the Philadelphia Phillies. Pujols with a home run moments ago. That was the first 3-homer inning of the season for the St. Louis Cardinals. And so now the Phillies come up down by 3. Ruiz has singled and doubled. Floats that one to right field. Jay coming on and will make the catch after starting back. So 1 man out. That's Blake Hawksworth still out there. A 6'3" right-hander from British Columbia. And still on the mound here into the 6th inning. A reversal of fortune for him. He got behind early, giving up 3 fast runs in the first. But then the Cardinals started to peck away. They got a run in the first, a run in the second. Philly got another one in the 4th, take a 4-2 lead. St. Louis just exploded for 5 runs using the home run ball. Wilson Valdez here. He's flying to left and lined out to short, 0 for 2. Takes one up high, and Molina will get out in front of the plate before he tosses it. Couple of words for the righty. He's just been handed a 3-run advantage.
Well, like we mentioned earlier, when your team comes up, does some damage offensively, the best thing you can do as a pitcher is go out there and get 3 quick outs, get them back in the dugout, and keep that momentum going. Because what can happen many times, you jump out, you score runs, and you go out there, stand around on defense, your pitcher gives up the lead or brings it close. It starts to tire you mentally of what do we have to do to win this ball game.
That's an excellent point. And for Blake Hawksworth, it just builds his confidence. I mean, for him, you know, he hasn't lasted more than 6 innings in any of his 5 starts. So to be able to go out there, he's got the support now, the runs, continuing pitching his game. He's pitching a very good game. Settle down after that first inning and keep going and get your team back in that dugout, just like you said.
Greg Dobbs on deck. He will hit for Kendrick. And Omar, you made the point as we went to commercial that, you know, for Kendrick to hang in there and get that final out so they didn't have to, you know, lift him and use another hitter because he was due up third.
That was huge. That says a lot about Kyle Kendrick, because it's easy after giving up that 3rd home run.
2-2 floated off to the right. Long run, Pujols, and can't get to it.
As a pitcher, you give up 3 home runs. Obviously, you don't want to do that, but you're going, all right, gosh, I can just, the coach comes out to talk to you, and it's easy for you to say, I'm done, get me out of here. You got a guy warming up. It's my time. And he didn't. He stayed in there, understood what he had to do, got the next guy out, and that's huge for that team, because you don't have to waste that player. You don't have to do maybe that double switch. You can bring in the reliever the next inning. You get pinch hit for when your time comes up. The reliever can go, you know, hopefully longer, and you don't have to waste anybody. And I'm sure Charlie Manuel appreciates that. Kyle goes out there and does that.
Did teammates notice that too? Will somebody say something to him? Hey, you know, it was a rough inning, but you know that helped.
They should. I recognize that, definitely. There's a lot of guys who do see that and will go up there and say, hey, thanks for doing that for us. Even other pitchers as well will be there for each other.
Not thanks for giving up the 5 runs. That's in there for
Right.
strike 3. Valdez will take a seat. Let's get it back for studio update and Jay Harris. Jay.
All right, Dave, here's one for you. The scoring update brought to you by Citgo, keeping you in the game. The Rays and Orioles, top 3rd. Carl Crawford with a triple. Jason Bartlett scored, part of a 7-run 3rd. 8-0 right now. Back to Dave O'Brien in St. Louis.
And Tampa Bay starting to look pretty good. They could score a lot of runs in a hurry. That's one of those offenses, when they get rolling, they can put up 10 or 11. They can also get shut down. They've been a little Jekyll and Hyde this season for Joe Madden. Here's Greg Dobbs as he bats for the pitcher in the 9 spot, and he takes strike 1.
Well, I agree. I think the Rays are a team where B.J. Upton's starting to swing the bat better. You know, Carlos Pena is going to hit better than 200 on the year. He's going to hit his home runs, but the average is going to come around, and they do have the players. They've got the pitching. They can make a great run there in the division.
Right now 3 games behind the Yankees in the American League East. Dobbs just a 200 hitter, and he's behind 2 strikes with the bases empty and 2 down. 7-4 St. Louis in the top of the 6th here. Hawksworth with a chance to pick up a win, which would be his 4th of the year. He pitched really well out of their bullpen last year. He made 30 relief appearances and kind of an unsung hero. He went 4-0 with an ERA of 2.03 last year. And they have made him a starter.
They've had their injuries in the starting rotation. Brad Penny, Kyle Loesch.
Again, fought off foul by Dobbs. Jimmy Rollins on deck. Hawksworth in the 1st inning forced to face 8 batters. He gave up 5 hits and 3 runs, but since then just 4 hits and a run.
Seems to be a trend for Hawksworth. His last start against the Astros, 2 runs in the 1st inning, then 0s until he came out in the 6th. So getting through that 1st inning for this guy, and he's making the transition from the bullpen to the starting rotation. So slowly but surely getting stretched out.
Lunging little looper into left field, dropping quickly, a diving effort by Ryan, but he can't reach it. It'll be a base hit for Dobbs. Just his 3rd pinch hit of the season. Now 3 for 28, but he'll take it.
That's one of those, Nomar, running up the line. If you're the hitter, you are talking to it the whole time.
You're going, get away from him, get away from him. Get away. What a great effort.
You just about missed the first base bag because you're looking at the ball for so long. You don't even know where the bag is, but you are talking, praying, everything you can do for that to fall.
And it did for Dobbs. Ryan couldn't get there, and here's Rollins. Jimmy Rollins 1 for 3 with an RBI single. Toward the middle, but an easy stop for Schumacher, and the force play retires the side. No runs, 1 hit, 1 man left. Still 7-4 St. Louis as we go to the bottom of the 6th. MLB.TV, baseball everywhere. Get over 100 live out-of-market games per week in HD quality. We're available on your computer. Visit MLB.TV for details. Nomar Garcia-Parra, Dave O'Brien, and Chris Singleton with you from St. Louis on what has turned into a very comfortable night here. Randy Wynn is going to pinch hit. Started out the season with the New York Yankees. Wound up landing here with the St. Louis Cardinals, hitting for the pitcher Hawksworth, who can pick up the win. And Chad Durbin comes out of the bullpen for Philadelphia. He's had a good run here. 31 appearances, a 1-1 record, a .313 earned run average. He's been very reliable. And facing Wynn and then Brendan Ryan and then Felipe Lopez here for St. Louis. They just rallied for 5 runs in the 5th inning, hitting 3 home runs. 3 homers in the 1st inning, or in that inning for the first time this year. It's a high fly ball, jack deep to right field. Maybe another one worth backing up. Back. It is gone. Yet again for the slugging Cardinals. Their 4th home run in the last couple of innings.
I don't know what's in the water or the Gatorade in the Cardinals dugout, but they're going to want more of the same tomorrow night. This has been a hit parade, a home run parade. When you see a guy coming off the bench like that, Nomar, and depositing one, you're saying, oh my.
Well, I think he was sitting there on the bench and going, I want a piece. He was probably gripping that bat. He's like, look at what everybody else is doing out there. Hopefully I get a chance. He got his chance. Same pitch that we see up in the zone, that we see all the home runs being hit. And he deposited over there in the right field wall.
We all know hitting's contagious, but are home runs contagious?
Today they are. Chris over here is like, maybe I should get a bat. I want some of that too.
It looks easy from up here, doesn't it?
Way farther away we get, it's a lot. Looks easier, doesn't it? Oh.
Brendan Ryan here is grounded out to drive in a run and lined out to center. 8-4 Cardinals. Home runs in the last 2 innings by Pujols, Craig, Schumacher, and now off the bench, Randy Wynn. That's got to make a manager feel like $1 million. You know, you have choices. Still relatively early in the game. Tony La Russa could have gone a couple of different ways. And, hey, the guy he brings up knocks one out of the ballpark.
Well, you like Randy Wynn, a veteran. He's been around both leagues.
They stab to Polanco's left on a hot shot by Ryan. 1 man out. Update time. Back to the studio. Here's Jay Harris. Jay.
All right, Dave. Rangers Tigers bottom 6, 5-5. Dustin Nippert delivers to Austin Jackson, who pounds it back up the middle off of Nippert's head. Wow. He was down for a few minutes, ended up walking off under his own power. Full update on baseball tonight following Cardinals and Phillies. Go back out to St. Louis and Dave O'Brien.
Oh, I like to see that smile, Jay. Thank you very much, but awfully scary. Fouled back here by Lopez with the bases empty, 1 man out.
Yeah, that's a great thing to see, a guy kind of smiling and chuckling as he walks off, because that could have easily been the opposite as far as the result there. I remember Chris Young, the Padres, taking one for Hiroki Kuroda for Los Angeles, and just scary sight.
Yeah, it doesn't always end that well. Remember Bryce Flory got drilled, and I remember years ago another member of the Red Sox, Dick Pole, got hit, and it changed his career.
I was there with Bryce Flory when that happened. I was out there at short.
Little flare, backing out Rollins into the outfield to put it away. 2 down.
It's just so scary to see things like that. And even Hiroki Kuroda talks about that now when he's playing catch. When somebody throws a ball kind of at his face, you know, we're so used to, as baseball players, at our face we have our glove and we don't flinch, we just catch it like don't. And he says he moves his face out of the way when the ball's at his face when he's catching with his glove. He just finds himself kind of moving it, and all because of that. And I understand why.
Yeah, you think of the careers that his line shots have changed. It looks like he'll have the opportunity to shake it off, but you never know what the psychological damage is going to be. 2 men out, and Jay here, and he has doubled twice tonight.
Well, we saw the hitters at the All-Star game wearing those modified helmets. All the players had those. What did you think about those, Nomar?
I wasn't a big fan of those as I'm watching the game.
Kazoo
in the truck.
in the house?
Oh, that's exactly what I thought. I was in the truck going, I go, this guy's going to be out. And people are like, why is he going to be out? How do you know? I said, look at the helmet he's wearing. And everybody who went back to the old helmet got a hit.
2-1 is up and away for a ball.
Scott Rowland was the only guy in the All-Star game wearing that helmet that actually got hit. Everybody else who had it, I was like, the reason why you struggled today in All-Star game was because of the helmet.
Too much weight up there.
Too much. It was too much for me.
Of course, David Wright wears one, and players who've had issues with concussions. Francisco Cervelli of the Yankees also wears the protective helmet. 3-2 pitch will miss for ball 4. So Jay continues with an outstanding night. The rookie right fielder, 2 doubles, an RBI, a run scored, and now he takes ball 4 to get on in front of Albert Pujols. And Albert, the man who really lit the fire in that 5th inning with a 2-run blast, his 22nd home run of the season. And then after an out, Alan Craig followed with a home run, and right after that, Skip Schumacher homered. And then Randy Wynn hitting his first for the Cardinals, coming off the bench here in the 6th inning. So it's been a home run fest for St. Louis tonight. They lead it 8-4. Here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Albert knocks a foul on a play. Back to his home run cut in the 5th.
Well, a cookie just laid right down the middle, and you see how quiet he was in the box, meaning that his feet, his head, everything was nice and still. Zeroed in on the baseball like a fighter pilot and just launched it.
Like a fighter pilot. Launch. I like that. I like that analogy. You're right on.
Clearly he has the eyesight.
2010, that's what it is, right?
That's in there for a called strike.
Isn't that the eyesight for a fighter pilot, 2010, I believe?
Off the charts like
Yeah.
that. Nomar is being very humble, but his was something like that. His was like 29.
Whatever. I don't know. Come on. Just because I read the wording on the baseball when it came in doesn't mean I had good eyesight. And I was like, oh, there's Bud Selig's name again on the baseball.
There it is
And I was
again.
like, there it is.
I think I'll hit that.
You could probably forge that signature. You've seen it so many times on.
3-2 on Pujols, who has also doubled along with a home run. He has driven in 3 runs tonight. In this matchup, a premier slugging first baseman, sharply hit but down for Polanco. He'll go to first base, and that retires the side. Yet another home run for the St. Louis Cardinals. Randy Wynn hitting for the pitcher, drives one out to right field. Cardinals up by 4. We welcome you back to ESPN's telecast of Major League Baseball, presented by Vonage. And inside beautiful Busch Stadium, when the Cardinals have an 8-4 lead, we're going to the 7th inning. E60 returns Tuesday night on ESPN. A profile of Titans running back Chris Johnson is coming off a breakout season. Then meet Chelsea Baker, a 13-year-old knuckleball phenom. And a batting stance guy reveals his best batting stances. He's got to do Nomar Garciaparra. There's always a treat to watch. Just step into the batter's box. 1 strike on Polanco. New right fielder. Wynn stays into the ball game. Stays in the game in right. And so Jay is out. And Trevor Miller is on the hill. Left-hander facing Polanco, Ibanez, and then Howard across for a strike, 0-2.
I appreciate you saying that was a treat to watch when I step in the box. Most people are like, oh, what are you doing, Uncle?
Let's go already.
Millions of New England kids grew up watching the Red Sox and copying Nomar Garciaparra, driving their parents and everybody watched those high school games they later played in. Absolutely crazy, but it was fascinating to watch. I mean, the constant doing
Batting
and undoing
gloves,
of the batting gloves. And, I mean, you had did
tap
about
the
7 or
toes.
8 things you had to do to get in there.
It worked. That's why I did it.
Wait, did it work? Did it ever work? That's why it caught on. You know, nobody copies a fad. You know, no one creates a fad if it doesn't work. So it has to be successful.
Do you do that on the golf course too when you step up to the ball?
I do tap my toes. Yes, as a matter of fact, I do tap my toes. Not so much. I only have one glove on, but I do tap my toes. Yeah, it's funny. I'll do in these golf tournaments.
Polanco up the middle, a chopper. Ryan there behind the bag, slings it over.
If I'm in these golf tournaments or these charity golf tournaments and I'm there and people are, I'm on the foursome, they don't know me, and I look at them right before I go, I'm like, and yes, I will tap my toes before I start, before I swing.
It can't go away. You're striking a ball.
You're right. It's just I'm about to exert energy. I like my toes at the end of my shoes when I'm about to exert the energy.
So then your shoes, I'm sure you wore pretty tight then.
I did.
You like everything real snug.
Well, I did also because of soccer. I played soccer growing up too, and then soccer players are a little messed up when it comes to their shoes. Always have them real tight.
I'm going to have to believe you know that from experience. As Ibanez here, he's gone 2 for 3 with a pair of singles and also a comebacker. Of course, Omar married to the lovely and talented Mia Hamm. You guys watched a lot of World Cup. You said you missed maybe one match?
Yeah, I think I missed one match.
Wow.
Love watching it.
Wasn't it amazing?
It was. I just enjoy it, and just the energy that's around it. The vuvuzelas, I got numb to that.
Sure, we all did after a while, I think. Did he check? Yes, he did. No swing by Ibanez. Ryan Howard waiting on deck.
I just want to know when this sudden death is going to take place with you and Bobby Valentine. I keep hearing about it. He's going to be the goalie.
Yeah.
And he's supposed to. What was the numbers he said he'd knock down?
I can't remember how many said he'd stop. He's like, I'd stop over half of your goal on the penalty shootout. He's like, if we had 3, you wouldn't knock one in. And we're like, he goes 5, he goes maybe 1, and he goes, and if we had 10, he goes, I don't know, maybe like 7 or 8. He said I'd stop.
Were you really good? I kept reading for years that you were really, really good. You could have gone the soccer route, the 1-2 pitch in there for strike 3.
Listen, I was a good high school player, and the key to that is high school. Okay.
Yeah.
I played very well in high school, but.
Yep. Let's take a look here at K-zone, and that one just on the corner.
That's a dart to the outside corner. As a lefty, you're just hoping that's a little bit outside, because at best, if you make a pass at that ball, you foul it off and maybe get another one. And he just froze Raul Ibanez and then has to take the long walk back to the dugout.
Certainly a pitcher's pitch. And here's Howard. He's doubled. And that brought in a run. He's also grounded out and hit into a double play. 1 for 3 tonight. 8-4 St. Louis in the 7th. Although early on it was all Phillies. And Howard was part of that in the first inning with his RBI double. They scored 3 times to take a 3-0 lead. A breaking ball miss outside. And right now, Howard is on a pace to hit about 35 homers. Although, of course, home runs are down across the board this season in Major League Baseball, so should not be all that surprising. Consider Toronto's Jose Bautista led the majors with 24 at the All-Star break, the fewest by a first-half leader since 1993.
He's still on pace to hit 35.
Still on pace to hit about 35. And my guess is he's going by that, too.
Oh.
His dad watching tonight is Dad Ron. And of course, this is home for Ryan Howard, the city of St. Louis. Already had a lot of great nights in this ballpark. He loves to come home.
Well, think about how blessed this city of St. Louis is to have a player like Albert Pujols playing here, and then a player like Ryan Howard making this his home. Think about the work that they're able to do. I know Albert, with his charity, his foundation, does a tremendous job in the city, particularly with kids with Down syndrome. Ryan Howard as well. I know he's very involved. So even though they don't have both players playing here, this city gets a huge benefit from having 2 superstars of the game making this home.
Howard has hit more home runs than anybody in baseball since the start of 2005. Fouls that one away. Still 3-2.
I can see why. Every time I come here, I mean, these fans are really tremendous fans. I mean, yesterday they were at Joe Torre. It was Joe Torre's birthday, and here's an opposing manager coming in. And I know Joe Torre's played for the Cardinals, and they remember that, but they gave him a standing ovation. I know coming in as a player, if you made a great play as an opposing player, they were giving you a standing ovation. I mean, these fans just really love baseball. They respect it so much. Doesn't matter if you're wearing that red for them or you're an opposing player and playing the game hard. That's what they like to see. And
you basically took the words out of Shane Victorino's mouth. That's what he's telling me during batting practice. Exactly what you said. He loves coming here to play because of those reasons.
3-2, hammered into left field for a base hit. Of course, Joe Torre also managed here in St. Louis, so he is known as both a manager and an outstanding player. This was yesterday, celebrating his birthday with the Dodgers. Not a real happy day really for Joe because he was getting swept by the Cardinals, but the fans just loved it.
well, at that time when he was getting that, they were leading.
They were ahead.
So,
That was all right. A base hit for Howard, his second hit of tonight's contest. That will do it for the left-handers. So we'll have a pitching change with your score. The Cardinals 8, the Phillies 4. St. Louis with a lot of home runs tonight. More Major League Baseball this week on ESPN Wednesday nights. It's Steven Strasburg and Washington against Scott Rowland and the Cincinnati Reds at 7 Eastern. Then it's ESPN Sunday Night Baseball presented by Taco Bell. You'll see Albert Pujols again and the Cardinals against the Cubs. Both games also available on ESPN3.com. Monday Night Baseball coming to you from St. Louis tonight. A couple of guys who are friends and workout partners, Pujols and Howard. Maybe a Cooperstown snapshot there down the road. They're both only 30 years old, however, and right in their primes. Jason Mott, the new pitcher, coming out of the bullpen where he's done very, very well, a 2.72 ERA in his second full season with St. Louis. And Worth nubs that one foul off his leg for strike one.
Well, they talk about Jason Mott as being the successor, if you will, to Ryan Franklin to be the closer here sometime in the near future, within the next year or two. He throws gas with late movement on it. As we saw that first pitch delivered to home plate to Jason Worth. It's like, wait a minute. Let me wake up here, smell some ammonia or something, Nomar, because this guy's bringing it.
get your bat started now.
Howard at first with 2 gone. And 2 strikes on Worth, who has gone 1 for 2 with an infield hit tonight. He has also been picked off first base by Yadier Molina.
Jason Worth right now, like you said, yeah, Jason Mott coming in throwing 98 miles an hour, and the first one you see, you foul off your foot. That's not the one you want to do right from the beginning, is fouling that right off your foot. You're doing great. You still got to face him again.
1 ball and 2 strikes. Shane Victorino would hit next. That last fastball 98. Mott, a 6-footer. 200 pounds. Out of the state of Michigan. A 1-2. And missed 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Kind of short for pitchers nowadays because you got guys like Wainwright, 6'6", 6'7", Carpenter as well in that range. I'm sure around 6'5". Hawksworth starting tonight 6'3".
Chopper foul, and yet he can get it up there into the upper 90s.
That is the equalizer. Yeah. Doesn't have quite the tilt from that 6'4", 6'5" height from the height of the mound and delivering to home plate, but he makes up for it with added velocity and late movement.
He is a converted catcher. Actually led Florida State League catchers back in 2004. Charged with 13 pass balls. And thus the conversion began the following year to becoming a pitcher and a darn good reliever. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
There you go. Well, you're having a little bit trouble catching the ball, and you got an unbelievable arm. How about you get up there on the hill? And here he is in the big leagues going, I'm doing just fine up here. It might be the next closer.
Well, they loved his catching arm, but decided to put it to better use. He had a cannon outside for a ball.
A lot of people don't realize Joe Nathan, closer for the Twins, who's obviously out for the season, but that's how his career started. The San Francisco Giants. He was an infielder, was released home in the offseason, one of the minor league coaches for the Giants said, hey, this guy's got a great arm. They brought him back to spring training.
Runner goes, broken bat, flying to center, coming on Rasmus. He won't get there, drops in. And Howard churns on into third and stops there. Worth with his second hit tonight. Lost the bat, but he'll take it. Let's get it back for a studio update. Here's our man Jay Harris. Jay.
All right, Dave, thank you much. This one from the Rockies and Marlins. Bottom six, Mike Stanton, 3-run home run, making it 6-4 Marlins. Ubaldo Jimenez gone in 5 1/3, 6 runs, 4 earned. Back to St. Louis and Dave O'Brien.
Thank you, Jay. A short outing for the great Jimenez. Jason Worth, meanwhile, has dribbled a base hit about 35 feet from home plate up the third base line, a swinging bunt, and now busted his bat on a gently hit flare to the outfield. But in the morning paper, it's going to look like 2 rockets. Runners at first and third for Victorino. Goes after the first pitch and pops it up. Will it be caught? Here comes Lopez and Molina. Molina, the Gold Glover with the catch. And that retires the side. So the Phillies with a couple of hits. Nothing comes of that. Still 8-4 St. Louis. Go back to 1979. And the MVP was split in the National League. Keith Hernandez with the Cardinals leading the National League at 344. And Willie Stargell with 32 homers, 82 RBIs. The Pirates went on to win the World Series over the Orioles. In 7 games, they would share the MVP. And tonight, of course, we have seen Ryan Howard, who's won an MVP in 06, and Albert Pujols, who has won 3. J.C. Romero coming out of the bullpen now for the Fightin' Phils. He is 1-0 with an ERA of 3.38.
Well, he is a pretty hard throwing lefty for the Phillies out of the bullpen, and a guy that they're glad to have back and healthy because he helps to solidify that back end of the bullpen, able to come in and handle lefties well and do pretty well against righties also.
Cardinals have hit 4 home runs tonight. Rasmus does not have one, but he's belted 16 this season. He has gone 0 for 3. Grounding to second, flying to center, grounding to first. Rasmus, you'd have to believe the longer Ludwig is out, is a key man to pick up the slack offensively. Ludwig out with a calf strain. They hope to get him back shortly.
You have Matt Holliday today getting a day off, getting a rest. See a lot of managers do that, especially a guy who's playing in the All-Star game. You know, during the All-Star, you don't get a break. You know, the guy, everybody was like, oh, you had 3 days off, or you get that 1 day off. Well, that's probably a travel day. So you really don't get an official All-Star break. So a lot of managers early on, right after that, like to say, okay, the guys who played in, maybe I can find a day to give you that recovery day, and then I'm sure tomorrow you'll be right back at it.
Although Holliday looks like he doesn't know what to do with himself. A little ground ball to first base. Easy stop there for Howard and the out. Time for a Sports Center Right Now update as we go to the studio with Jay Harris. Jay.
All right, Dave, thank you much. Here's some of what's happening on Sports Center right now. The Yankees, Andy Pettitte headed to the DL after straining his groin Sunday. Could be out 4 to 5 weeks. Sergio Mitre to replace him in the rotation. And the WTA Tour says Serena Williams is questionable for the U.S. Open because of a recent foot injury. She cut her right foot on broken glass at a restaurant and needs surgery. Sports Center, 11 Eastern. Baseball tonight follows Cards and Phillies. Back to Dave O'Brien.
Thanks, Jay. Pettitte, a big loss with 11 wins and an ERA of 2.88. And on the disabled list for 4 to 5 weeks. Chris, how big is that for the Yankees as Craig gets in here? Said a good night, 1 for 3 with a homer. A swinging bunt, pitcher has to get it. Romero guns him out, and there are 2 gone.
Well, he's been one of the top pitchers for the Yankees, along with CC Sabathia, Phil Hughes. It makes you wonder now how much more upset are the Yankees that they didn't pull off the Cliff Lee deal, because they thought they had it in the bag. They're in Seattle and end up trading him to Texas, and the Yankees were a little upset about that. They thought that they had a gentleman's agreement, and now they have Andy Pettitte, one of their top pitchers, and a lefty go down. That missed opportunity with Cliff Lee is even worse than it was a week ago.
Skip Schumacher, he's homered, he's flied to right, he's walked and scored. Of course, it was Cliff Lee pitching for these Phillies in a World Series who beat the Yankees twice. One of the reasons the Yankees wanted him so badly.
So they don't have to face him. You're right. And not just that, because he is an unbelievable pitcher. I mean, he goes deep into the game. I mean,
doesn't walk anybody.
I mean, the pace of the game is incredible.
Left-handed, you know, great pickoff move as well. You can't run on him, even if you do get on. He really is the blueprint for any pitcher you'd want to have.
And he came out of Cleveland last year to Philadelphia, a much bigger spotlight, and acted like he'd been there his whole career. I mean, in the World Series, you remember that pop-up, the little jam shot that on the mound, he just sort of snatched out of the air as if, you know, this is child's play. So you saw a guy make that transition from being in a smaller market like Cleveland, go to Philly with the expectation to win, and just unfazed by it all. That has shown every other team in the league. You don't have to scout him close to the deadline. Just trade for him if you can get it.
Chop toward the middle. Valdez handles the chance, and it's a 1-2-3 inning in front of 40,253. And most here in St. Louis are loving it. Their Cardinals up 8-4 after 7.
ESPN Monday Night Baseball is presented by Vonage. Sounds good. And in part by Subway Restaurants, where so many of your Subway favorites are $5 footlong subs.
Top of the 8th inning. It is 8-4 St. Louis. And Albert Pujols has cracked his 22nd home run. He's driven in 3 runs tonight in support of the Cardinals. Even though they have been out hit, they have the lead. Mott will stay on to do the pitching here to Ruiz Valdez. First 2 batters due up, and the first pitch is in there for a strike on Carlos Ruiz. He's doubled, singled, and flied out to right field. Charlie Manuel has been really impressed by the job Ruiz has done with his pitching staff, and he's raved about the comfort level of the Philly pitchers with Ruiz, that they've really settled in there with him over the last season or so. That'll miss inside for a ball.
Well, he's a real easygoing guy. You know, really likes to work with the pitchers, get on the same page, and just have a nice flow there. He's not a dominating kind of catcher where, hey, do this or throw this. Let's go with our game plan. Let's stick with it. You know, just has a way about him. Just in conversations I've had with him, whether asking about the starting pitcher, there's just a calm confidence that he has in whoever's going to take the mound for his ball club that night.
Now the Phillies are 31-23 when he starts. So obviously he has made some sort of a difference, because overall they are 5 games over 500. Coming into play tonight.
And he can swing the bat. He can swing the bat a little bit. He's also been very clutch for the Phillies this year. He's had some big key hits and some game winners.
Swinging a deep drive left center field. Racing back Rasmus, coming over Craig. Craig will make the catch in the alley. And Rasmus converging with Craig. They've done a good job in the outfield tonight. Starting pitchers now, Kendrick and Hawksworth. They are both done. 5 innings for Kendrick. You guys mentioned his velocity really dipping once he got to that 5th inning, when he gave up the home runs, and he gave them up in bushels.
Well, you have the humidity here, the heat, and it's not as hot as it could be, you know, middle of July here in St. Louis, but nevertheless, you see guys down there sweating, just sitting on the bench, and you start to lose fluids. And I think that's what we saw over the weekend with James Loney. He took that swing, and he sort of cramped up in the batter's box. Looked like he cramped or pulled a muscle, but dehydration here, Omar, in this kind of weather, you got to make sure you get the fluids in you.
You got to be, every time, even though you think you might not be dehydrated or not thirsty, that's when you got to keep going over there. You get to that cooler, get me a drink, you know, cup here, cup there, and kind of keep it throughout the game.
What is it the trainers tell you, that if you're thirsty, you've waited too long?
Yeah,
you're already dehydrated
it's too
by that
late.
point.
You're right.
8-4 Cardinals here in the 8th inning.
A lot of times it was easier to fall, you know, into that situation when you're playing in Arizona, where you don't sweat a whole lot. You don't think I'm losing fluids because it's not running down your arm or down your face, and all of a sudden you're cramping up and limping, you know, off the field because you weren't hydrating yourself enough getting water. I think St. Louis I mean, this is a place I remember watching games when my mentor Willie McGee was playing for the Cardinals and playing on that turf, and just the heat. You'd see the bugs, just around the stadium and near the field. You're saying, man, those guys, they would come in. Willie told me they would come in and put their feet in buckets of ice water because the turf was so hot. And you imagine going out and playing.
Well, your feet would blister. Players would complain about that all the time unless they did that. You had to treat those doggies during the game,
especially with the spikes because of that metal underneath their feet, and that was just getting so hot. I couldn't imagine. And it's a good thing that there's no longer turf, but it doesn't mean that the heat has gone away here in St. Louis.
Well, Mark Twain said that before they ever had artificial turf here, obviously way before. He said the one thing about St. Louis, it holds the heat well. And it always has. A 1-2 pitch, bounding ball to short. Ryan up and over. 2 up and 2 down. Let's go back to that 5th inning, and the 3 home runs started by Albert Pujols, a 2-run smash, number 22 for Albert. 1 out later, that's Allen Craig, the rookie, his first major league home run. And just moments after that, Skip Schumacher, who had only hit 2 all season, knocks one down the line the other way, and 3 home runs in that inning. Added another as well, a home run by Randy Wynn in the 6th inning.
Yeah, that kind of sounded like one of those, but wait, there's more.
Yeah.
And there was Randy Wynn jumping in on the fun.
Ross Glode hitting for Romero. So that opened up the lead, and St. Louis has an 8-4 advantage in the 8th inning on a muggy night. Glode hitting .239 with 3 home runs. Ropes that one into right field for a base hit. So solid single to right field in front of Jimmy Rollins. Let's get it back to the studio for an update. And Jay Harris. Jay.
All right, Dave, thank you. A Tigers and Rangers, an injury update. Tigers third baseman Brandon Inge out 4 to 6 weeks with a broken left hand, hit by that Scott Feldman pitch in the 3rd. You see it right there. Leaves the game, broken hand. Expected to miss 4 to 6 weeks. Full update on baseball tonight following the game. Back to Dave O'Brien in St. Louis.
Thanks, Jay. That replay you just showed, slow motion there. Inge was almost cringing before he got hit because he knew where it was about to strike him, it appeared. Here's Rollins. He's gone 1 for 4 with an RBI single.
And that's going to really hurt the Detroit Tigers. I mean, here's a guy that really gold glove caliber defense at 3rd. He's such a critical part of that lineup, just leadership and everything else. I mean, that's a huge hole. You look at the offensive numbers, and it's not blowing you away. But Brandon Inge is such a cog in that lineup, offensively and defensively. I think this is going to hurt the Tigers in that division more than we realize right now.
Yeah, they can't take that. They've already lost 5 in a row. They've fallen a game and a half behind the White Sox. Schumacher flips it on to second base for the force play to retire the side. No runs, a hit, 1 left. We go to the bottom of the 8th inning. Still the Cardinals up 8-4 over the Phillies. Jeff Bagwell won the National League MVP in 1994 with the Astros, hitting .368, 39 homers, leading the league with 116 RBIs and a slugging percentage of .750. As we look back on MVP first baseman, Howard certainly one of those back in 2006. Albert Pujols winning 3 in his tremendous career. But Howard and the Phillies running out of chances. Ryan Madsen comes out of their bullpen. He's the new pitcher, the right-hander. He'll get the bottom 3rd of the order, beginning with Yadier Molina. So both managers going to their bullpens liberally. Up the middle to his right, here's Valdez. And a fast out. 4-3, 1 man gone. Now time to take a look at tonight's big assist. It's brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. How about the throw by Molina? We've said it before so many times in his career. To catch Worth napping, the 34th time he's picked off a base runner in his career. Outstanding arm. And that spectacular release.
Well, the scouting report is out there. Everybody in the league knows he throws that way as a base runner. You got to be aggressive those first 2 steps back towards the bag. He'll look down a few times. When he sees you do that consistently, he's not going to throw down there. But if you get caught sleeping for just a moment, I mean, Molina's got the velocity and the accuracy to get you out.
Fastball in on Wynn, who came off the bench and knocked a home run in the 6th inning. Molina 0 for 3, but certainly doing good work behind the plate tonight and with that arm of his.
Phillies glad to have Ryan Madson back. He was on the disabled list for a couple of months. He was kicking it a little too hard. Kicked something out of frustration and busted that big toe. And that's...
Well, you have to look at me when you said he was kicking it a bit too hard.
He did too. He looked right at you. I noticed that too.
He wasn't kicking it like Nomar on the soccer field. No. He was kicking a door or something, and ended up having to miss a couple of months.
And that was in late April, a broken right toe. But back in the fold here for Philadelphia, and they've had a lot of relief pitcher injuries. 5 of them have wound up on the disabled list. And right now Chase Utley is out. That's a big loss. Jimmy Rollins, Chase Utley, and Placido Polanco have started together in only 13 games all season long, and they're 11-2 in those games. Fly ball caught in left field by Ibanez. 2 men out. More Major League Baseball comes your way this week on ESPN Wednesday night, presented by Captain Morgan. Steven Strasburg and the Nationals squaring off against Scott Rowland in Cincinnati. And then on Sunday Night Baseball, presented by Taco Bell, Albert Pujols and these Cardinals, they'll fight it out with the Chicago Cubs in one of the best rivalries in Major League Baseball. Bases are empty here for the 9-hitter Brendan Ryan, who has gone 0 for 3 tonight, but an RBI for him back in the 2nd inning on a ground out. 13 hits for the Phillies, and yet they are on the short end of it and will be going in the 9th inning. They have due up Polanco, Ibanez, and Howard, so a chance to make some noise.
And so oftentimes you see the score with 13 hits, and still the other way with the Phillies, they're usually the team that's hitting a bunch of home runs, maybe have less hits, but are having the lead late in the game, because they can hit some home runs.
Knocked foul off into the seats, but it has really been a season-long problem, and Charlie Manuel's talked about this as recently as a couple days ago. He can't find the answers as to why the offense has been sputtering at times, and then they'll go off on a tear for a couple of days, and then all of a sudden they're shut out again. And it's happened over and over this season where the offense has just sort of died. They haven't had all their pieces, that's for sure, but boy, you expected better than this.
Well, imagine the acceleration of gray hairs growing on the head of Milt Thompson, the hitting coach for the Phillies, and knows he's got all this talent. These guys pretty much go on autopilot as far as being able to hit, and he's had to really work hard this year and still hasn't come up with the answers.
Popped up foul off first. Howard is there and makes the grab. 1, 2, 3 they go. Howard is going to come up and swing, maybe for the last time tonight. He's due up 3rd as we go to the 9th. 8-4 St. Louis. Now the crowd here at Busch Stadium certainly loved what they saw back in the 5th inning when the Cardinals exploded for 5 runs on a slew of homers, and they've continued to lead 8-4. Kyle McClellan, the right-hander, 26 years old. He is unscored upon at home this year in over 23 innings. Comes out of the bullpen and delivers to Placido Polanco. And strike 1. McClellan entered spring training as a candidate for the 5th starter spot after making 66 appearances out of the bullpen last year. Gobbled up by Lopez on the left side, and 1 man out in front of Ibanez. And that'll bring up Ibanez, who has gone 2 for 4 so far tonight. Well, we talked about the Phillies and their late night last night against the Cubs and having to get here to St. Louis. And take on the Cardinals, and they got off to a fast start, Nomar, but then it fizzled after that after getting 3 runs right away.
Well, you also give a lot of credit to Blake Hawksworth over there for the Cardinals. Yeah, they got off to a fast start, and then he just settled down and he started putting some zeros up there and gave his team a chance to come back, which the Cardinals did.
And for me, if this game finishes at the score 8-4, you go back to the first inning when the Phillies had an opportunity. Jason Worth with runners on second and third doesn't deliver. Victorino picks him up with 2 outs. If they don't score then, now we're looking at a very ugly ball game on the Phillies side of being 8-1. So a huge pickup by Victorino in the first, and it looked like the momentum would carry and that they would cruise. But the Cardinals showing some resiliency to battle back and got some home runs from some unlikely power sources tonight.
One very likely power source, of course, was Albert Pujols, but Alan Craig with his first major league home run. Skip Schumacher doesn't hit many. Homer in that same inning. They hit 3 in the 5th alone, and then Randy Winn off the bench to homer. So St. Louis moving into first place after sweeping Los Angeles, sweeping the Dodgers over the weekend. And a half-game lead over the Cincinnati Reds in what should be a terrific race the rest of the way.
I was just thinking that there's a lot of good races just in baseball in all the leagues right now in divisions, and it's fun to be a fan, to be following that.
And you've got the Cardinals and Reds, who I think are going to battle all season long. But no, this is a challenging little stretch the Cards have. Phillies this series, a very capable ball club of busting out. The Cubs and then the Mets over the next week and a half, where the Reds, I mean, they've got it a little bit easier. They've got the Nationals, the Astros, and the Brewers. So this could be a time where, you know, the Reds find themselves pulling back into first place and really battling with the Cardinals. So the Cardinals did a great job of making a statement tonight, at least through 8 1/3, as far as coming out and putting it on the Phillies and starting this homestand out.
Well, the Phillies not finished yet, because here comes Ryan Howard with 21 homers. And it tops in the National League 74 RBIs. Howard with a double and a single. As a runner at first base as Ibanez just took ball 4, only 1 out. Right through the pitcher. Ryan taps the bag and turns 2, and the ball game is over. The Cardinals win it 8-4, and they did it with the long ball tonight. Big Albert leading the way. And they'll celebrate tonight here in the gateway to the West. 8 runs, just 8 hits for the Cardinals. So the home runs did make all the difference. 4 runs on 13 hits for the Phillies. And St. Louis takes game 1 in this 4-game series.
Well, an impressive run for the Cardinals here on a hot night. As Nomar said, Blake Hawksworth, a rough first inning, but he settled in, gave his ball club a chance to win, and boy, did they pour it on in that 5th inning. Real impressive win for the Cardinals. Great night for the fans here in St. Louis.
Yeah, they really saw a laser show going out there and got a lot of souvenirs today to pick them up. And for the Cardinals right now, I think them coming off a 4-game sweep of the Los Angeles Dodgers, a great team, and continue that here, making a statement in the first game of this series against the Phillies. It's huge.
And the star first baseman certainly played like it tonight. Pujols with a 2-run homer and a double, and Ryan Howard with a run-scoring double and a single. 8-4 the final. Stay tuned for baseball tonight. Coming up next, this has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For Nomar Garcia-Parra, Chris Singleton, and our entire ESPN crew, I'm Dave O'Brien saying so long from St. Louis, Missouri, where the Cardinals knock off the Phillies 8-4.